You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, we are live.
Hello, 2026.
First Monerotopia of 2026. Oh,
Welcome to the future, guys.
Yeah. Things are already quite different. We just we just invaded Venezuela as of last night.
Wait, did we? I didn't hear this.
Yeah, we captured Maduro. He's on his way to New York as we speak.
I did not hear about this. I don't pay attention to the news.
Well, they need something to distract from the Epstein files and the tax revolt in progress. So
the tax revolt in progress. Yes, it's gaining steam. I think Bawdy's leading the charge on that.
In more ways than I'd care to admit online, but let's just say that a number of people between 2017 and 2024, 125,000 of them, according to the IRS, high earners and millionaires, they don't file their taxes. And the IRS basically said, we sent them a letter. But a lot of people I know that don't pay their taxes and haven't for years have never gotten even a single letter from the IRS. So the point is that those people, these brave souls for the past 10 years almost, have done the groundwork for the rest of you so that you can also stop paying with very little risk. Like, they're going to take the higher earners and they're going to take the people that haven't been paying for longer first. So all of those people, without naming any names, all of those people are more likely to get hit than you. So, and their safety in numbers, and the IRS has been gutted. Like, they seriously gutted. They like, there's been I don't know if it's 3 or 4 different directors just this year. They fired one guy after like 2 months. They reduced their staff by 25%. They basically rolled back all of the stuff that Biden did to try and do the 80,000 IRS employees. They fucking slashed all of that and then some. So like the actual risk individually with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, perhaps millions of people joining, like, your chances are very low if you just stop paying. So, especially if you don't have like a normie W-4 job.
Like me, I will say for the record, I do pay my taxes for those that are listening in. I'm being very much a front man for Monero. And
hey guys, I'll be back.
Monero talk. Okay, like Shirtwave's not even partaking in this one.
Shirtwave will be back after he's modified his W-4 to claim all exemptions.
No, I got my camera told me I had a package on the porch and it's raining, so I got to go grab it before it gets wet.
Okay.
It's your new W-4.
And then we have Monero Talk LLC, which obviously is very by the book. I don't know. I don't want to be a target. I got a letter from the IRS. I got a letter from the IRS a couple of months ago asking me about my crypto and if there's anything that I may perhaps fail to report. Just suggesting to me. Maybe there's something you didn't report. We just want to check in with you. And then I wrote them back a letter asking, why are you inquiring this? Please provide me all the information and details that you have, because I don't know what the hell you're talking about or suggesting.
Yeah, they fire those letters out just like to anybody that has connections with crypto, like that has like paperwork connections with crypto, where you filed that. If you have previously filed stuff that talks about your crypto, or I'm sure that you have a lot of exchange accounts, stuff like that for your businesses and whatnot. So they just fire those letters off as like a subliminal threat in case you didn't report everything.
Okay, I'm back.
I mean, we file our Monero Talk LLC taxes every year, and there's obviously quite a few crypto transactions that go. We do all the capital gains in and out with all the Monero or whatever that comes in, and then the Monero or crypto that goes out. Primarily, it's all Monero. So, yeah.
The irony is that the people who don't file and don't pay at all get less scrutiny. It appears that they get far less scrutiny than the people who actually do file. And this is also one thing I've said for a long time. Like, if you're going to choose to disobey, and that's obviously it's a personal decision. There's a lot of factors you have to weigh in that. But if you're going to disobey, just know that it's a felony to file your taxes and lie on them. And it's a misdemeanor to just not file at all, which is why there's a lot of high earners that just don't file because they're like, well, fuck it. It's like it's even a financial decision in some cases. Yes, there's a risk that you could be Wesley Snipes and get sent to federal prison, or Larkin Rose for a year, but that almost never happens, especially if you can pay. Your ability to pay whatever they're demanding is a good negotiation point to keep yourself out of jail. Sometimes they make examples of people, but man, that's going to get harder and harder going forward because people are fucking pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I do feel like I'm, a potential target, so I try to do things on the up and up. But like you're saying, I mean, if you're fortunate enough to not ever have filed before, that's probably your safest bet if you intend on not ever filing moving forward, right? Like you said, if you try to somewhat do the right thing and file, now you're a target as opposed to have never putting yourself on the radar.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's like we need a way to kind of like kickstart the revolution so that like I'll jump in if you jump in, right? Like obviously if everybody decides not to file, then it works. But that's how do you do that, right?
Given the numbers, my assessment is that we literally need only about 0.01% of the U.S. adult population to just stop filing, stop paying, change your W-4, whatever it is you want to do. But so the adult population is about 250,000 people-ish. 0.1% of that, I'm doing public math now, but 0.1% of that would be about 125,000 people. That number doubles the IRS published number of people that already aren't filing from 2017 to 2024. So that doubles those numbers. They already can't handle those 125,000. If you double that, they still can't handle that, right? If we get 1%, if we just get 1%, that's 1.25 million. 1% of the U.S. adult population that just says, hey, we're not going to file. That massively overloads them. They can't handle that. There's no way they can handle that. So we don't even need everyone to agree. We just need some small minority of people. And guess what happens? When everyone else sees that those guys haven't paid and haven't received any letters and nothing has happened, then what happens to the rest of the people as soon as they say, wait, well, they're not paying and nothing happened to them, well, I'm not going to pay. Then it snowballs and then it's over. Then they end the IRS and the politicians fall over themselves to pretend like it was their idea all along to end it.
So my question to you is, if you have a standard job, like if you're an employee and you work for, I don't know, Macy's or something like that.
Wage slave.
Yeah, if you're a wage slave and you get a W-2 each year, they're going to have you on their files just because of the fact that Macy's themselves has to send information about you to the IRS, right? So that wouldn't work in that case, or would it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are changing their W-4s right now, and they're just saying, I'm claiming exempt on everything. And if they won't, and I don't think HR is, honestly, guys, I don't know the law here, but I don't think HR is allowed to tell you that you're not allowed to do that. I think that they're not allowed to stop you from doing that. So there's a lot of people that are just claiming 100% exemptions. They're going to keep all their paycheck between now and whenever. And then I think they're just not going to file. I mean, I don't know what their plan is, and I can't, obviously I'm not here to recommend anything.
Yeah. When you say they don't have the resources, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, right? I got a letter because I'm a crypto guy, right? It was a click of the button for them, right? Generate, letter, send, bop, boop, right? It's kind of just a click of a button for them to send out a letter to everybody else that they suspect of, right? Any wage slave that now saying I'm not, I'm keeping all my funds. I'm gonna, I don't want anything deducted from my paycheck. They don't see anything come in. Isn't it just a click of a button, letter goes out? Like when you say they don't have the capacity, what do you mean? Like,
so, and I recommend that people talk to an LLM about what this process actually looks like. Listen to Larkin Rose. He's actually been through the process. Like 25 years ago, he actually took this shit to court. So it's one thing, right? On the one hand, it's one thing to click a button and say, we see that you've had some crypto transactions and we think you didn't report all your income. And if you don't report all your income, we will be forced to send another letter, right? There's that aspect of it. So what are they going to do beyond sending letters? Because a lot of people that I know personally and just in the broader community, Liberty community, that have not filed for years and years haven't received even a letter. Like they haven't even received a letter. And then a lot of them say, yeah, I received a threatening letter, but I didn't do anything. And they sent me a couple more and nothing happened. And that's been years ago. So I'm not saying that there's zero risk, because there are stories of people that have gotten hit by the IRS. But the point is that when I say that they don't have the resources, what I mean is that to actually take someone from the, hey, we think you owe us money point to the, yes, there is a lien against your property or a garnishment of your wages. There's an entire legal process that has to happen there. There's an investigation. They have to contact you. They have to take it to the courts. And if you fight them every step of the way, right? If there ends up being an actual action against you, right, where it's like you are issued a summons to appear, right? That's the next step, right? It's summons to appear. If they issue a summons to appear and everybody either fights them on all this or ignores them on it, it's hard. It's going to be difficult for them to push this through the entire court process for 1 million people, for 2 million people. It's a long process. It requires some level of expertise. It requires the slow legal system. And yes, okay, after a year, after a couple of years, they can maybe they'll start there's some real actions that happen. I'm not saying that no one is going to get hit. They are going to try to find people to make an example of. Like, they're definitely going to do that because fear is the name of the game for those guys. So people are going to get hit. They're going to find some people to make an example of. But the problem is they just don't have the resources legally, with the expertise or any of it, to actually process all these people through the system.
I will say, anybody who's considering that route, you probably want to hold the majority of your wealth in Monero.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like if you're doing this, put some of your resources in a way that they can't just digitally garnish, yes. Digitally seize.
Yes, because that's what they would do first, right?
Yeah,
they would seize your bank account. They would start to garnish your wages.
If you have 50 fiats in your bank account, there's not a whole lot they can take.
Yeah, that's another factor. I think a lot of the freedom liberty community lives abroad, and I think a lot of them are kind of like, fuck it, I don't even live in the States. I'm not filing. I'm not paying. Why? Like, that does kind of make you a little bit nervous every time you re-enter. You're like, have they been trying to contact me and I just don't know about it? But if you have a residence where you like receive mail, like in the States, you can kind of know. Like the IRS has sent me letters 2 years running, and it was like, we would like to offer you a health insurance plan. Are you insured? You can get insured through the federal government Obamacare plan. Like, oh.
From the IRS?
From the IRS, yeah.
Interesting.
My mom sent me this like picture. I was like,
you're like, oh, fuck, IRS.
Like, I guess I made the bad boy list. I was like, listen, Mom, just open the letter. Don't look at it. All right. Just send me a picture. Okay. Just do yourself a favor and don't look at it. And I was like, wait, insurance? It's like, bitch, I live in Mexico. Like, you don't need health insurance here. It's like, care is cheap. It's cheaper than your deductible in the United States.
That crypto letter pissed me off, man. Because by day, I am a wage slave. I've been paying taxes since, I don't know, fucking 18, 16, from whenever I had my first job. I had my first job at 13, but I guess I didn't start paying taxes till whatever, 18, or I forget.
You better declare that, bro.
You
just did, I guess.
Here's a question. What do you guys think about...
It pissed me off that I got that letter. Because then we file with Monero, and it's such a pain in the ass, like, to do all the capital gains, ingoing and outgoing for crypto. It's, like, really a fucking pain. And then I get this vague letter. Like, are you sure you're correctly announcing all your crypto holdings and usage?
All the fucking Pharisee legalese that they dross the entire paper with. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. I mean, listen, now is the time, right? It does feel like a lot of people are waking up to all the scams, all the fraud that's happening. It's always been
because of the
happening.
daycare centers.
The daycare center thing was a huge like obvious one. It's just like billions of dollars of obvious fraud. Everybody could connect the dots with that one, see that the politicians are in on it. They're taking a piece of it. And then you got, the people that are out, the middle class. It's usually the middle class guys that are out there. They're doing the right thing. They are the wage slaves. They're paying the taxes every year. And then to watch that and see that, it's like, what the fuck? Why am I doing all this? Barely getting by. When these criminals are just, raping us and taking all the tax dollars that I paid and just stealing it.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back for sure.
And, that's literally just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the fraud is so, I see in New York, man, I see communities around here, people around here where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. They all got like five kids each. Stay at home mom that doesn't work. The dad, I don't know. I don't want to go into great detail what these communities are, but it seems quite obvious to me that there's some scamorama happening. I'm talking about like full rows and rows of houses of all these people kind of living the same way in $1 million homes, because that's what it costs for a decent, apartment here. Like if you're going to have a, whatever 3-bedroom apartment in the New York area. Like, how are they doing this? Well, they're getting paid by the government. They're getting welfare. They're using food stamps. They're using schemes to get paid to watch their kids and to watch their friends' kids. It's like some of them are getting their mortgages paid through HUD. It's just like billions and billions of dollars of fraud, and it's all quite obvious, because if you're on the up and up and doing things the right way, you just know it's just not possible to be doing that and living the life that they're living. So I think a lot of people are waking up to this. And yeah, I think that will be, hopefully the end result is that this energy goes towards people revolting and taking action. But like I said, it's got to be done in a way where people can do it in a united fashion. So you're not waiting for everybody else to take the first step. It's like you kind of all got to jump in together. Otherwise,
the first step was taken back in for like the past 10 years. The first step was the people, mostly the anarchists and libertarians, that just quietly stopped paying. For a long time, you didn't want to talk about it because you don't want to put a target on your back. But a lot of people that I know just quietly stopped paying back in those days. And some of them, they filed their status change and they did all the scribbles that said now I'm a national, Texas state national or whatever, and then they'd stop filing and like, well, nothing happened to me. It's like, well, yeah, but a lot of people didn't do all the crazy man on the land paperwork, the sovereign man stuff, and they stopped filing and nothing happened to them either. So the first step was already taken. The next step is being taken right now. Thousands of people on Twitter and even now Instagram, Facebook, just openly declaring, I haven't filed for X number of years. I don't pay. I'm stopping paying. Here's how to change it up. Like, everyone has already taken those first steps. So it's here. This is it. So if you ever wanted to disobey, now is going to be the time. I understand. So in some ways, there are certain people that you wouldn't necessarily want to lead this revolution because the things they provide are too important. So for example, Vic with Cake Wallet. I don't think we really want Cake Wallet as a corporation to lead that charge of stopping filing, because we need them to continue that development. So I wouldn't necessarily, and you too, Doug, you do a lot of things in a corporate sense that are important for Monero. And so I would it wouldn't even be my position that I would want you to participate in that. So it's not there's a lot of rhetoric going around, and I certainly participate in it, about you fucking cowards, this and that. Because some people are like, well, just buy Bitcoin. It's like, no, you dumbass. if you've ever tried to run a business and declare your capital gains taxes on the basis of your Bitcoin every time you try to use it as an MOE or any crypto, you suddenly realize it's a fucking nightmare. And that friction of capital gains taxes must be eliminated for crypto to start truly being an MOE. Also, the money transmitter laws.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to be in the right position. You can't be a public facing figure out there saying I'm not paying my taxes and you should not. I don't know. I would advise against. I would advise against that. But yeah, if you're in the position to do it, you do it the right way. You know, buy some Monero and take action, and protest by not participating in the system.
One of my tweets was, listen, it's even easier not to pay and not to file. Be brave. Do nothing.
Take no action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
wild, man. And now with Mondami, our new communist dictator that's been elected here in New York City, I feel like there's even going to be more of this realization. Those that have been following the rules, doing the right thing, paying their taxes, are now going to see the government do even more of these handouts. There's going to be much more of this fraud, more people getting hooked up, and people are going to get frustrated because they're going to see it's going to be right in their face. It's going to get thrown in their face more and more.
It was you actually that convinced me. It was about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, about all the migrants. Because you were saying, no, I've seen it. They've got the hotels full of them. So it's kind of like I do place a lot of importance on what real people actually see on the ground. And so your accounting of what you were saying there, because I don't live in the States.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like that actually convinced me. Yeah, there really is a migration. It was an importation more than it was a migration. They like literally imported these guys. But it's funny because like it's such a red herring. It's like, let's see, the left imported the Somalis and then the right deported a bunch of productive people and did not deport the Somalis amongst other imports that were brought in. And it's like, wait, you're deporting this like legal resident here on the basis of some like traffic ticket that was unpaid 10 years ago, right? But then somehow, like Bart Simpson with his blind, his blind glasses on and his cane is unable to see literally, I mean, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of fraud. And it's like, please, like, so that's like ICE isn't even like grabbing the right criminals.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Things are just getting worse and worse, man. It's reaching a fever pitch. I mean, part of me thinks it's like I'm getting played, right? There's some kind of psyop going on because as I'm looking at social media, I'm just getting so angry, right? Like why am I getting emotional about this? It's working. It's getting me, it's getting me angry. It's making me want to take action and do things. But is it that I'm just getting played? Is it just that they want everybody to be angry against each other? Or is it a real revolution that needs to happen? I also think in those terms too, right? Like it just feels like sometimes it feels a little too coordinated.
I think you bring up a really good point there that we have to be careful because we know that there is a vast like conspiracy in the intelligence agencies to affect the nature of discourse. And so when my account on Twitter, which has never gotten more than 500 likes on a single post to my own wall, gets multiple posts, about this tax protest or tax revolt, 3,000, 4,000 likes, we ask ourselves, okay, is something happening here? And I think no, because the problem that I have, I mean, yes and no. Like there's kind of like they can suppress things, but Musk is kind of like a freedom guy, so he sort of kind of opened the gates, but he's probably Twitter is probably still infected with intel agents or friendly leftists or whatever, or friendly statists that are still trying to like put the controllers on there. I don't really know, honestly. I'm just like waxing speculative, but it's a good question to ask. The one thing that I look at that I'm starting to look at now, the people that are like, hey, disobey the government, like that's the one thing that the government fears more than anything is an entire mass movement that says, fuck you, we're not going to do that, because there's nothing they can do about it. So when you see people online that are like, disobey, there's a really like disobey, just stop paying or whatever. Like that's a really good sign that they're probably not controlled opposition, because controlled opposition basically would never do that. They would almost never say that. But all these like fake ass libertarians you see that are like, we need to demand accountability. We need to sign my petition. It's an open letter to the governor, to the president. It's like, no, like stop it. But inevitably they are.
And all the accounts posts where you kind of see people labeling other groups as the enemy, right? Those are the ones that I'm suspicious of too, right? Because it's like trying to pit groups of people against each other.
Yeah, especially the classic polarization when they're like the left, the Democrats did all this fraud. It's like we're so far beyond that. Even MAGA knows that that's retarded now, guys. So like they're trying, but I don't, bro. This is it. Like this is what we've been waiting for this. I've been in the libertarian movement since 2006, and so many of us. So that's 10 years now. 20 years. So many of us have been waiting, and for a long time, a lot of us we're trying to coalesce in our minds. How can we change the situation? And ultimately, most of us coalesce to the same conclusion that disobedience is the only peaceful way to really make change, and that violent revolutions typically produce more tyranny and worse conditions for everyone than peaceful kinds of transitions. So to the extent that we can maintain this as a peaceful disobedience, backed with the sort of subliminal threat of violence in the background, if they really want to push it that far. But at this point, if the government tries to get violent and repressive, I don't think the people are going to stand for that. But mostly, I think we can accomplish what we need. Like once the people realize, hey, these politicians fell over themselves to eliminate the IRS. Maybe this will take a couple more years, who knows? But once people realize that the disobedience worked, they're going to start saying, well, what else can we disobey, right? Like, what else are we capable of doing by just telling the government to fuck off and then doing our own thing? So we're actually this is just chapter 1 in a saga of what I believe is actually coming, because this has been boiling for a long, long time. So we're here. This is the moment, make a personal decision. Obviously, all you listeners out there, probably most of you already disobey. But if you've been thinking about it, now might be the time.
Nihilist tip 0.00123. Thank you, Nihilist. Guys, we have 117 live viewers. Like and share. Let's get people in here. This is ground zero for the revolution, right? The easiest thing to do, and we talk about it all the time on this show, obviously, is opt out. Start using Monero. Store your wealth in Monero. Live off Monero on XMR Bazaar, try to buy things with Monero, try to sell things for Monero, try to earn Monero. That is the kind of the pacifist way of revolting, opting out, ignoring the system, and just moving into this system outside of theirs, where we can live off of each other, and there's no parasite to suck out its pound of flesh at will. That is the route. That is the route to winning in my mind.
Pacifist. Monero's a weapon, bro. Monero's a weapon, and the war is for freedom.
All right. I was trying to be nice about it.
No, I'm just playing. We gotta play the good cop, bad cop,
Yeah.
On the bright side, gas is down 40% in the past 7 months.
Well, now that we stole all of Venezuela's, refineries or whatever reserves.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what's going to go on with that.
7 months ago, a gallon of gas was 14.5 Monero per gallon, and now it's down to 8.5. So it's like a 40% drop. Now the fiat price has only dropped 11%, but in Monero it's dropped 40%. So that's not too bad.
I do assume the Venezuela thing has something to do with that, right?
Yeah, that's kind of been my. They seized, because remember, for the past couple months, I've been saying on the price report, shit, oil keeps dropping, and this looks bad, but everything else looks fine. It's kind of like this weird counter signal, and I'm starting to think, yeah, they seized the oil tanker. They're like saber rattling against Iran. They're probably trying to pump that price of oil up. The global uncertainty.
Let me quickly shill Monerotopia, guys. It's coming fast now. It's coming fast. The Monerotopia conference is happening this February 12th to the 15th. So basically a month away, a month and a week away. Monerotopia 2026 happening in Mexico City. It's our third time doing it there. It's going to be awesome. Anybody who's been there will tell you it's a fantastic, magical event. Come hang out for 4 days. Talks, hang out in the dome. You could, ask raise your hand and talk directly to the Monero devs. We have other privacy tech projects that are involved. You could live off Monero in the marketplace, and more than anything else, you could just hang out with like-minded people that are opting out, that already have opted out, that are like working on figuring out how to opt out, and it's just good vibes.
It's before the April 15th deadline, so if you want to talk with somebody offline so that your conversation isn't recorded, and it's in Mexico City, if you want to talk with somebody about how to opt out of being a wage slave and how to opt out of the theft system, you can do so there offline.
Yes. And obviously be careful with what you say to who, even at Monerotopia, right? I'd always advise people that don't say anything like blatantly stupid. Like one of the things, if you're selling Monero or whatnot, be careful with that. Obviously, it's perfectly legal to do peer-to-peer transactions. But if somebody comes up to you and is like, hey man, how do I, looking to whatever, buy $100,000 worth of Monero. I got cash over here that I got from a drug deal I just did. Like, don't be like, oh yeah, sure, here's the Monero. Let me go. I'll take those pesos. Good luck with your drug deals in the future. Like, just don't be stupid. And I've had people come up to me and say some pretty brazen things at some of these events in past, particularly the one in Miami, and it was quite obvious to me that this person was not looking out for my best interests. My line is always, listen, I do sometimes swap Monero for cash and vice versa out of purely a need. How much are you looking to get? I'll think about whether I'm in the position to swap some Monero for cash if I actually need the cash. Just be very careful with things like that in general. But yeah, other than that, I would say for the most part, it's all good people that are there that are, we're all in the same boat. All working on the same thing. But yeah, obviously be careful. It's a very accessible conference. Come down. We keep the tickets super cheap thanks to our sponsors, particularly our main stage sponsors. This year is Cake Wallet and Edge. Tickets, general admission is $129, VIP $249, and then we have a local ticket that's only $25 or like 500 pesos, and that gives you full access to the conference. And then we even have a free option for those that just want to come into the marketplace area and hang out. So you can anonymously buy your ticket with Monero. You could show up. Those that are, don't have any money can literally just show up, hang out in the bazaar, and you can be among a Monero crowd completely anonymously. Great lineup of speakers as always, and it's continuing to gain momentum. We're getting more and more. We'll be adding all our Spanish talk speakers soon. We're going to have the first half of Saturday, or perhaps even a little bit more, dedicated to the Spanish talks. Now we have officially added Firo. Firo's involved. Obviously, Pirate we have involved. We have Litecoin, Mimble involved. Seeing if I could get Railgun involved. I just reached out to them. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, guys. I really have nothing else to say about it. Email me, Monerotopia@protonmail.com. If you want to participate in any way, you want to be a vendor, you want to, I don't know, whatever it may be. If you have some idea in some way you want to help, you want to volunteer, you want to perform, you want to be a speaker, whatever it may be, you have some idea on how to spread the word in Mexico City to get some more locals to come out, whatever it may be, please do reach out. And yeah, I guess the last thing I want to say is I'm always surprised when I come across like Monero people that don't know about Monerotopia. I saw somebody posted about it on Reddit, that the conference is coming up, and like the first comment was like, "Oh wow, I never heard of this." Like, what? Like, how do you not know? Like, what are we doing wrong that you don't know this conference is happening? Once again, like, you don't have to come to the conference, but at least like it it saddens me when people in Monero don't know that the conference is at least happening. Let's get the word out there. Anybody who's in Monero should know that this conference is taking place. So if you're not attending, but you do want to help, the best way to help is spread the word. Spread the word, get the word out, post on Reddit, post in any forums that you frequent, post on the dark markets that you're hanging out in, wherever it may be. Get the word out that Monerotopia is happening, and to come on out. If you're interested, we will be, Shortwave, I know you've asked this quite a few times, we will be adding a virtual ticket option. I don't do that till the end because I'd rather have people actually come in person. So I like to push them in that direction. But yeah, if you can't make it to the conference, you will be able to watch it virtually. We'll be adding a virtual conference ticket pass. But yeah, if you want to help in any way, the easiest way to help is to just spread the word about Monerotopia. And I will leave it at that. And yeah, Bawdy, I guess we'll jump into price report. Let me go ahead and run the price report segment. Here we go.
The Monerotopia price report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolist.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
Speaking of Exolix, did you know that they have Tari?
Oh, is that new?
I don't know if it's new or not, but I just I found that Tari has an Android wallet, and I was looking through their GitHub commits, and I saw that Exolix had Tari, so I swapped 0.1 Monero for some Tari.
Yeah, all right. That's good to know. I see somebody saying just stop paying does nothing. That's a psyop. A real organized protest can put pressure on government. I kind of disagree. I mean, that's like the opposite, right? I mean, that's what they want you to do. Just go out and be like, "Hey, government, do something," and then nothing changes. The real way to create change is to opt out and ignore the system. I don't know if this guy is being sarcastic.
No, he's probably just a Fed bot. Like, protest.
Don't comply and opt out is the psyop. Oh man.
Yeah, listen, every single protest that we've seen for the past decade or more, the Fed boys always infiltrate it. They start being violent. They create the violence they want to see. They false flag the protest, and then they shut that shit down. And then
they love these protests. It's just a release valve on the system, right? It's like let a little gas out. System is fine. If you want to break the system, you gotta keep the valve closed and build up pressure inside till it explodes. Yeah, the protests are good for bringing attention to it, I guess, but often, it's not going to lead to any change. You're not gonna get any change that way. This is why the crypto revolution started to begin with.
Yeah, you have to opt out. Crypto is a massive part of even being able to opt out. Like, how are you going to thumb your nose at the IRS if you don't have something tucked away in a spot that's harder for them to get at?
Exactly. And it's actually much more easier than showing up to a protest. Nihilist tipped 0.00123. Hi, just throwing this in here. If you don't have a guest segment today, I can present Datura Network, darknet project I'm working on with my community. If interested, I'll need the StreamYard link, though. Yeah, let's do it. We don't have a special guest today.
That does sound interesting. The StreamYard link is on Xcancel, so if you go to xcancel.com/Monerotopia, the first post there has the StreamYard link in it.
I'll throw it in the chat right now too. So there it is. Oh, yeah. Here's the StreamYard link. Boom. So that is the link for anybody that wants to jump up on stage. But Nihilist, you can use that to be our special guest today. But yeah, Bawdy, I'll let you take it away with price report.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen if you want to put it up.
Okay. Boop.
All right, so we've had a little bit of a pullback here in the Monero price. And Doug, if you could remember to maximize the chart before you go, before you take care of your family duties. Okay, so yeah, we're looking here at the Monero chart. Obviously, sitting here at about $430. You know, have we left behind 420? Right? Has Monero grown beyond its drug phase? I don't know. Perhaps it's looking, you know, I mean, everything still looks fine. We're at a very nice pattern. Everything is upsloping. If we come to the daily chart and we want to take a look at the beautiful pleb lines in progress, we are currently reaching for our previous all-time high. We almost just barely tagged that. What I think yeah, that was 1220. So we actually didn't even miss a price report. We didn't miss a Monerotopia Saturday show. We didn't miss a beat throughout the holidays. So, anyways, yeah, we've had a pullback, but I mean, honestly, it's funny because 430 does feel like a pullback. I think what we all obviously want to see is this chart to just break that line and hit, you know, go for the 600 area. And okay, maybe that could happen at some point. Monero is just going to have a massive breakout. And I think this whole tax protest movement could definitely get a lot of attention for crypto and a lot of attention for quote unquote privacy coins, of which, of course, Monero is the privacy coin. So we got the street cred. There's still a bunch of people out there on Twitter I see. Most of them are usually Bitcoin maxis. And they're still like, yeah, it's Monero tards or whatever. Anyways, yeah, so I don't know. In terms of what are we going to do next? What's the next movement for Monero? I don't really have a strong opinion here, guys, but I guess up. If I'm looking at this, this feels a little bit like a flag pattern, right? So maybe we could draw a line right here. Maybe we could draw another line like that. You know, it looks a little bit like a descending wedge in a generally bullish environment. And descending wedges in bullish environments break towards the upside, and they break strongly towards the upside. Yeah, that's, you could definitely draw that as a wedge. So I do think there's a very good chance, higher probabilities than not, that Monero's next move over the month of January, let's say, right, between now and February, between now and Monerotopia, very likely we're going to break this guy and then find our way back towards the upside. So I think, you know, especially with the momentum, right, and you still got the, in a way, the Zcash privacy shills are still kind of helping us. Because the more spotlight that they shine on privacy coins, the more that people are going to realize that, oh, wait, everybody respects Monero vastly more than this other stuff. And the only people really shilling Zcash at this moment are, well, shills, and mostly the Solana degens for the most part. So let's see here. We've got the Bitcoin, the XMR BTC price, the ratio. We haven't quite made the upper standard deviation bands here. On the basis of this chart, you would say, hey, that's coming. I'm also starting to think that Bitcoin is getting prepared to set up to go higher. And again, tax protest will be a part of that. Probably this war in Venezuela now. So in case you guys didn't realize, Trump invaded Venezuela with some special operations mission. They established, they took the airfield, whatever, they took the airport, and then somehow captured Maduro and his family, and then exfiltrated them to the United States. So yeah, I guess, you know, that's probably going to weigh uncertainty. And with the whole tax revolt happening, it seems like, you know, people are going to be looking for alternatives to a new level. So fundamentally, it seems to make sense to me that Bitcoin should go up. And if Bitcoin's going to go up and the XMR BTC chart is still bullish, you know, that means like, you know, double gains for Monero's USD price, for its fiat denominated price. So yeah, the ratio is still looking pretty good. I would still expect to be reaching for these bands. You know, let's zoom in. That's the weekly chart. Let's just zoom in and see what's happened here on the 4 hour, what's happened lately. Interesting. We have a very similar kind of pattern here in terms of, it's a little bit more severe, right? We kind of had the wedge pattern on the USD chart. Could we say that we have a wedge pattern here? I could probably find a way to draw these lines that would make that look like the case. So yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's, you know, it's congruent. It's a story that makes sense. It's believable. You could convince somebody. Let's see, XMR versus gold. Yeah, we're on the top side of this chart. This chart kind of moves, seems like it tends to move slowly. And it's probably because both gold and Monero have been top performers for the year of 2026. You know, now that I think about it, maybe we should come back here and take a look at the, yearly candle, right? I don't usually do this, but let's take a look at the 12-month candles, which doesn't really tell us a whole lot typically. But hey, Monero ended the year at a higher level than it's ever ended, right? So the last previous all-time high close for Monero was $334 back in 2017. And we just closed 2025 at, if my system will move, there we go, $437. So that's a pretty solid close, right? It would have been nice to close all the way at the top. I still think that the cabal does try to manage the Monero price. And so candle closes, I think, for them are important. In fact, the notion that we sort of had this pullback, let's go back to the 2-hour chart. The fact that we had this pullback, okay, I mean, yeah, this is reasonable, right? This is not unreasonable action after you've basically pinged the previous all-time high. Not quite. We fell just short of it. So this pullback kind of makes sense in a general, how markets move kind of sense. At the same time, I ask myself, is it possible that that the cabal saved a little bit of firepower here for the end of the year to try and make sure that the candle body doesn't close all the way at the top? Because that's a very, it's a very bullish kind of signal when candle bodies have no upper wick because they finish strong all the way into the close. That's a very common thing. So it would not surprise me in the slightest if that was one of their goals, right? To try and, because that again, they manage charts to the greatest extent that they can. Does that mean they control charts 100%? No. So for all of you out there that are listening that are going to post to Twitter and misphrase me, I can't stop you from doing that. I know you're going to do it, Alexi, if you're listening. But I know you're just doing it just to fuck with me, and you're not. Like, I know you actually know the difference. Anyways, all right, so that's enough about Monero. Let's talk about Zcash. What is Zcash doing? It's kind of making a little comeback. It's up at the $500 range now. This chart will plausibly break towards the upside. Again, Zcash will go with the way the rest of crypto goes. As long as there are funds coming in from the real fiat system, right? They can only leverage up Tether to a certain extent. And my guess is they've maxed that leverage. They've probably printed about as much Tether support as they can for the price and all of their little mechanisms they have insidiously behind the scenes. But when they have real fiat coming into this, isn't that funny? Real fiat. When they have real fiat coming into the system, that enables them to leverage prices more. So if we see real fiat coming into the system and Bitcoin and the rest of crypto total market cap starts to go back up again, Zcash will be a leader because privacy season, this stupid fucking narrative, privacy season, XClam trademark registered. But okay, whatever. I mean, they're Monero's getting a little bit of side action marketing in the process of that. I mean, Monero's like the tax protest or the tax revolt, right? Like, they can put their narratives out there and they can pretend like Zcash is some cypherpunk coin. But people really know what the score is, generally speaking. So I don't know. Let's try and draw some lines here on the Zcash chart. We've had enough history here to try and say something. Oh, that's a little bit of a wedge. That's actually, maybe it's more of a parallel channel. Let's see. Can you tell that I did my homework? No, that's still a wedge, no matter which way you look at it. I guess, I mean, a rising wedge can break towards the upside. Actually, and now that I think about it, that could be. So, I mean, we have to expect that Zcash is going to pump. That if crypto is ready to go higher, the whole point of my freaking monologue there was that Zcash is going to pump pretty big if crypto decides that it's time to get positive again. And there's a good chance that it might. Minotari. I actually think there's a really solid chance that this is the bottom. I know we've kind of said that before, but I actually think that this could even potentially be a head and shoulders kind of pattern here. Let's see. Let's draw a line. With coins like this, these kinds of patterns aren't necessarily all that they're not necessarily all that reliable, but just for grins, we can take a look at it. But we're not going to take a look at Grin. Okay, if you did that, you would actually see that somewhat-ish, almost convergent with the upper standard deviation band there. So that's probably where you'd be looking if you were going to try and take a, like a swing trade, I would generally tell people, I mean, it's never wrong to take profit. Oh, holy shit. If we get back to there, that's a 20x. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell people not to take profit on a 20x. If you buy right here, or a 19x, if you buy right here and we get up to that standard deviation level, that's a 19x profit. That's hard to not take profit on that. All right. Anyways, Minotari trying to find a bottom. Maybe it can do it. This was a brutal drop off. So yeah, I don't know. Probably most people got it for free anyways, right? You probably just mined it, especially since there was the cubic thing going on and everyone was mining. Probably you got yourself some merge mine Tari at the same time. Hopefully you guys did. Xano, I will remember to keep my word and not comment too much on this chart. I don't want to be the reason it moves. Okay, that's Xano. Pirate Chain also trying to find some footing. This isn't good, Pirate Chain bros. Your coin is supposed to be like the Zcash, the better than Zcash, right? You're like the augmented, the improved, the enhanced version of Zcash. And it's still languishing down here. Of course it is, right? Like the guys that created Pirate probably don't have a whole lot to do or anything to do with the guys associated with Zcash, right? And so Zcash gets the support of the corporate interests that that want to see it pump, right? Pirate Chain does not get that kind of doesn't get that kind of action, right? They don't get the direct monetary support, barely even get the hand-me-down liquidity. So there's kind of like the social thing, and the people that want Pirate, the Zcash starts pumping, so then Pirate Chain, kind of tries to be cool to come along. But this is the maximum extent that without the corporate support of your price, that Pirate seems to be able to support, right? Pirate doesn't seem to have the kind of, it just doesn't have the organic adoption that Monero does. Sorry, guys. And it's probably never gonna. The lines are already drawn on this one. So if you like Pirate Cash, I guess that's fine. But I got to be honest with you. It's hard to envision that this coin is going to gain any of the organic support that Monero has. So anyways, but maybe some level of liquidity can come into here. Maybe you can still get some more pump. It's plausible. I'm not saying that Zcash can't pump, and I'm not even saying that maybe it can't find a way to pump bigly. Perhaps that's possible, but it's difficult for me to see how that's going to happen. It needs to get its act together soon, right? You need to actually show that, hey, we are actually hanging with Zcash. We are actually a Zcash cousin, brother, whatever, and we follow along with that liquidity. So I would want to see that to start to become convinced of the Pirate Chain narrative in terms of the price over the coming months. All right, enough about Pirate. Firo hasn't done anything either. Just kind of had a big spike up, and I don't know, just kind of sitting here at 1.24. Okay. Cubic also still not doing anything. Looks like they're trying to find a way to set a bottom. I don't know if I believe them. Whatever. On to crypto, on to Bitcoin. All right. Remember we said, hey, expect this chart to chop sideways, and we've been saying this for probably about 3 weeks now. And that's basically what we've seen, right? This chart is chopping sideways. It is consolidating the volatility. The volatility is compressing like a spring. It's going to bounce. It's going to pop. Whatever kinds of colorful language you want to use there. This looks to me like I'm just starting to get the feels, guys, the intuition. This chart's going to move towards the upside. Things are gonna bounce here. The tax revolt. Everyone's talking about crypto. The MAGA is going to want to hide, their tax revolted assets out of the prying eyes of government. Jokes on them, though. The prying eyes of Bitcoin will see all and report everything to chain analysis. But the narrative is going to flow into all the cryptos, right? Obviously. At least even if they're still spying on your flows, at least you can still do the flows, right? So that's still an improvement in a way, because they were already just spying on you in the banking system anyways, and they could digitally seize it. It just seems clear to me, guys, that's the pressure, right? That's the pressure side of this whole tax revolt thing, is crypto's going to benefit from that. And also, just the uncertainty. And of course, here's the other part of that. People are out there being like, well, don't tax revolt. They're just going to print the money anyways. Well, yeah, of course they're going to just print the money anyways. They already do. The point is, why the fuck am I paying them? If they're just going to print the money, why am I going to pay them? That doesn't make any sense, right? And if they're going to print the money, and they're going to print more money because that's the outcome of tax revolting, well, then maybe you need to own an asset that has some some history of reasonably good performance against inflation, which ironically Bitcoin kind of has, but not really, because the worst inflation was actually when it went down the most in 2022. But without getting into that, that's a cheeky thing to say, but it's probably not truly. That's probably not like truly the understanding that you would take away from that. But back in the day, I used to say it just because, I don't know, it's still like Bitcoin maxis still just like annoy me. So I try to annoy them back. Like, all right, if y'all want to say stupid, useless tropes, I don't owe you an actually like reasoned, logical perfection of a comment, right? I'm just going to troll you right back because I guess that's how you do the internet these days. Anyways, so this thing's going to break at some point. They might fake people out, like it might break that, and you'll see people be like, oh my God, look. So let's try and zoom in here. Let's actually go to the 4 hour. All right, so we've drawn some lines, and they're called pleb lines for a reason. No one calls them that but me, and I guess some of the listeners now. Maybe you could find someone also that says that. I don't know. Anyways, at some point, like this structure is going to break, and they're going to be like, look, we broke the downtrend or whatever. It's time to go. And then, it's just going to like fall back in maybe. And then, they'll wick down to wreck the shorts and then pump back up, maybe. Anyway, so I'm just like cautioning, if you're going to make this trade, just know that down wicks are intended to wreck you. So if you're going to try and get long here, just expect that there could be a down wick to try and wreck you. Maybe not, right? Like, so again, the other thing we've talked about this. So MSCI is going to issue some kind of, supposedly January 15th, as they said, they're going to issue their decision on whether or not companies that hold more than 50% of their treasury as Bitcoin or crypto, they're going to decide whether they should delist those companies from their index, right? So Morgan Stanley something index, right? Company index. This is a company that, so again, indices and stock index is an assortment of various stocks, right? So if I want to get exposure to tech, I want to get exposure to semiconductors or gold or whatever, and I want a broad exposure, not a limited exposure to one company, I want to get exposure to a bunch of companies. So they make these indexes, like the S&P 500 is an index. I don't think that's managed by MSCI. Anyways, they have said that companies that hold more than 50% of their treasury as cryptocurrencies are probably not truly companies. They're more like funds. And so they said, maybe we'll delist them from our index. And I think Polymarket is currently expecting that to actually happen. They're expecting MicroStrategy, for example, to be one of these affected companies that gets removed. And this is negative because it means outflows from the Bitcoin price. It means that once they remove once they remove MicroStrategy from their index, that means they're selling MicroStrategy, which means Saylor doesn't have the money to buy more Bitcoin because his stock price is going down, right? So all the loans that he took out on the basis of his stock price to get more Bitcoin, suddenly that trade works in reverse. It's basically leverage, right? It's some kind of chicanery legalized corporate leverage to help the Bitcoin price along. So there is that negativity. That negative externality could be there. We'll have to wait for January 15th. Can the tax revolt offset that negative externality in Michael Saylor's price pump shenanigans? I don't know. But I would like to hope so. Honestly, I kind of don't care because let's talk about Monero's correlation analysis. So here we are. I actually posted about this. Maybe some of you guys probably already saw this, but let's just review this chart because I've been talking about this for a while because intuitively we've been looking at the Monero price, for a couple of years now and saying we don't look like we correlate to the cryptocurrency market anymore. It looks like we're significantly decorrelated from the cryptocurrency market. So I finally did what I said, that I needed to do. And that is to take a look at the correlation analysis. And you have to be careful about this stuff. This is where math gets tricky. And if you're going to try and be cool and do some stuff like this, I always recommend that you go play around with it. If you don't know how to do like math or do something, the only way you're going to learn is to go play with it. So if you want to do a statistical thing, go do it. You don't need to be an expert, but you do need to understand that you're retarded. And that's something that I understand deeply about myself. And so you kind of need to go talk to an LLM about your process, about the things that you don't know, and stuff that you're missing. And I say that because this correlation is a log Pearson correlation. And even this is actually still slightly dubious. It's useful, but remember, like all statistics are always slightly dubious. The log Pearson correlation is a way of looking at correlation between assets that are moving exponentially. And because you get these weird artifacts that show up when you have assets, two different assets that are both moving exponentially, but one is moving more exponentially than the other, right? That exponent is different. So anyways, but it's a superior way of so log Pearson, you'll notice the log in there, that means logarithm. And logarithm, as you note, we have the logarithmic charts, right? Which is different than the regular charts. It's a way of dealing with exponents and bringing them back into a linear zone where you can perform more clear analysis. So anyways, let's talk about the Monero correlation to the total cryptocurrency market cap. You will notice that for the lifetime of Monero, except for kind of early on here, which is interesting. So early on, before 2017, there was this clear, very low to non-correlation. So I'm not entirely sure what was happening at that moment. And I actually didn't analyze it that strongly. Oh, interesting. Look at that. Okay, so Monero's last bull market. So when it, sorry, not last bull market, but it's like super duper strong bull market starting in 2016, where it basically set a bottom and then, started going up. There was a significant period of time in that growth where there was this is basically non-correlated. So just to explain, sorry, let me take a step back here. Something that is at 1.0 is 100% correlation, positive correlation. If it is at -1, then that is a fully inverse correlation, right? So when the other asset goes up, the asset in question goes down, right? 0 is no correlation. Truly non-correlated assets do this oscillation around the 0 point. They don't just stay at 0. They're not a flat 0. They do this like oscillation thingy. You would really need to do like a deeper statistical analysis to say, okay, what's the actual, correlation of these assets? And you would give it a single number, and then you would give it some kind of confidence metric there. Anyways, you will notice here that in the last major bull market of price discovery for Monero, most of that was in low to no correlation to the rest of the cryptocurrency total market cap. That is interesting because that now becomes another like sort of strengthening point for the notion that Monero is about to enter price discovery mode. Because you'll notice, and look at the timing on this. This is very interesting. Right here at about in 2024, the correlation just before the Binance delisting. So that was February 7th, I believe, was the announcement. And then I think the actual delisting was like February 28th, 2024. So you'll notice that, interestingly enough, the correlation broke down before the Binance delisting, which is, I think you all know what my speculation would be there about why that would happen. Or maybe there's just some other market factor, right, that just happened to coincide. I don't believe in coincidences in markets nearly as much as maybe your average pleb or your professional financial analyst probably believes in coincidences. I don't tend to see them nearly as much. I just know, whatever. Notice the correlation broke down. We started doing oscillation. Now we still are. There still is a positive correlation here, okay? You'll notice that the underside of this right here wasn't as filled out as the top side. We're looking at the 60-day, obviously. You'll notice that we still did have some light positive correlation, but not like this, right? The actual, like the hardcore, like pegged correlated to total market cap, the rest of crypto, broke down in 2024, and now it's like you would call it a low correlation. If you want to see something that's truly non-correlated, the Monero versus gold price. So the next one down here, this is true non-correlation. Monero actually doesn't show much correlation to gold. For the past few months, we have actually seen a reasonably positive correlation just for the past few months. Because I mean, since about Q4, the end of Q3, Q4, it is true that Monero and gold have both been doing quite well. So there has been recently some positive correlation there, but again, Monero versus gold has very low correlation, low to no correlation, and then Monero versus the S&P 500. There is a little bit of correlation here that happened for a period of time. That would be light positive correlation right there. But for the rest of this, you can see that you could see that for the rest of this, there's like overall that's very low correlation. So the reason the reason that that we talk about this, because if you talk to finance bros, you know, big fi guys, whatever, they will tell you that a portfolio comprised of non-correlated or low correlated assets overall performs better, especially when adjusted for risk, performs significantly better than a portfolio comprised of assets that all trade together, right? So it's kind of like, you know, if you're trading, I hold Litecoin and Zcash and Bitcoin and I don't know, Solana, whatever. Those are all massively correlated. You're not holding the same asset technically, but you're effectively kind of getting the same notion of returns on those assets. Okay, I mean, they're not perfectly correlated, so you get some benefit from holding, you know, various cryptos, but crypto, like, and I'll show you the charts in a second. Crypto does not look like this. Cryptocurrencies do not have this kind of low to no correlation to, you know, toward like Monero has to the rest of the crypto market right now. So that's a powerful thing, because you can do, like, so for those of us that have been holding Monero and gold, you've been doing really, really well. And why? Well, because you probably also hold Bitcoin and maybe you have some stocks, and the very low to no correlation of those assets has kept Monero having gains and gold having gains, even as Bitcoin faltered for the past 24 months. Let's say 12 months. 24 months would be incorrect. Bitcoin is still going up. For the past 12 months, Bitcoin has been faltering. It's been going down for really 14 months now. So anyways, holding non-correlated assets helps to keep your returns coming when some of them are faltering. So anyways, that's kind of a big deal. Let's see if this continues, right? Does this low correlation, this decorrelation, does it continue? I don't know. All right, we do have a super XMR chat from Scintilla Adorata. He tipped 1.2345678 Millenero, and he says, "Real fiat, my anus. Real fiat, my anus. Fiat is the antithesis of real value. Remember, children, the money in your bank account, 1, isn't really yours, and 2, isn't really there, and 3, isn't really money." Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that, bro. I don't know, how should I say it? When fake fiat is entering the exchange complex, the corporate exchange complex, real crypto prices tend to respond towards the positive side and in leveraged fashion. Okay, let's do one more thing before we leave this chart. Let's just go to a few sample cryptocurrencies. So down here we have a 60-day log Pearson, and we have the Sol USD chart also on the daily. So apples to apples. Look at this chart. This is what you call heavy correlation. Let's look at Dogecoin, Doge USD. Heavy correlation with a couple, like, okay, you can take a few little breaks here, these little valleys, but no, that this is overall massively correlated to the cryptocurrency. Wait, let's make sure. Yeah, to the cryptocurrency total market cap. Excuse me. Let's take a look at, I don't know, Zcash. Let's take a look at Zcash. Actually, let's make sure we get the right one. Kraken, because they have a longer version of the Zcash history. Yeah, so looky. Significantly massive correlation, even as of the past couple of years. Yeah, they're taking a few breaks. And okay, they did have a little bit of anti-correlation and a little bit of breakdown here for the past 6 months. I think we all understand why that happened, but they don't have a true break from the correlation for the rest of crypto. And you can count on this chart regaining significant correlation into the future, right? Zcash will go the way the rest of crypto goes. It might go there in a leveraged hyperbolic fashion, but it will follow the crypto liquidity. Whereas Monero doesn't necessarily have to do that, because again, everyone knows this that listens to the show, but in case you haven't heard it, the driving reason, it's not an accident that correlation broke down just before the Binance delisting and then continued for the past 2 years. It's because we don't live on the exchanges. We're not dependent on the incoming liquidity of the exchanges. We're not dependent on the decision of the corporate cabal on when to pump prices. We have our own circular economy. We have our own decentralized exchanges. We have our own means of getting in and out of Monero and exchanging and trading value amongst each other. This is the power. This reduction, this significant breakdown in the correlation to the rest of crypto, that's the power of not begging the corporate cabal to be listed on their exchanges, to play in their little playpen, right? We're largely outside of their playpen now. Yeah, we keep a foot in there sometimes. We stick our hand in there, But largely Monero has developed an organic market, and that's the power of doing that kind of thing. So people for a long time said, no, it's terrible to get delisted, and you need you have to be in the system, and the liquidity is going to go away. Well, hey, looks to me like we have a very positive thing that's developed. We're going up when the rest of cryptocurrencies are faltering. We have a correlation that's totally broken down, yet we're still pushing all-time highs. We're beating almost all of the other coins from this era, right? Monero's outperforming almost all of the coins that came from a similar era for competing use cases. So it's like, did we really need to be on the exchanges for that to be the case? I don't know. I guess you could say, well, maybe you would have won even harder and faster if we had been on the exchanges. But I'm not convinced of that. I don't think I believe that. Anyways, all right, that's been quite a long little lesson there, I guess, a long little analysis. So we'll just cover the macro and then we'll get in and out here. Dixie is probably going to break towards the upside. I don't know. I'm becoming less confident in this now. Guys, there is a sea change happening out there in terms of this tax revolt. I do, and I hate to go by the instinct in my feels, my intuition. My feminine intuition says that for the next year, a lot of change, real change is actually going to be happening, and that's going to include the monetary system. Does that mean that the monetary system is going to break down? No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that the fundamentals that will make the changes actually manifest in the real macro sense in the economy are currently underway. Venezuela invasion, kidnapping Maduro, that's a big deal, guys. When the state-sponsored terrorist Fed boys in the United States go and perform a special operation to invade some other country, yeah, Maduro's a bad guy. I get it. He's a socialist and he's a dictator, and no tears will really be shed over Maduro, but I don't think that I want the United States to be the one. They're not in a position to make that decision in any moral kind of sense. Anyways, back to the point. We're seeing all of the signs across the board flashing red that there is something different, fundamentally different about the economy, about the macro, about the global, the global monetary system and the international order. So, this kind of change is our opportunity. Actually, this is the opportunity that we have been waiting for. Anyways, back to Dixie. I guess this thing needs to chop sideways for a little bit longer. This is a pretty big pattern too. So, I mean, it's possible this thing could chop sideways, but at this point, I'm changing my opinion from believing this is about to break towards the upside towards not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about, which was probably the case all along. But because of the changes that we're seeing now, tax revolt, Venezuela, failure of Epstein, Somalis robbing, let me rephrase that. Government officials robbing trillions of dollars using Somalis, imported Somalis as their conduit, right? They bear infinitely more responsibility for what happened. The government officials that aren't being arrested, prosecuted, and taken to jail, they are the ones that bear the culpability, not some low IQ fucking people that they imported from Africa, from some very poor country, right? Like, that's not who we're blaming here. The Somalis are just doing the fucking what they, with the opportunity. Hey, do you want millions of dollars? Well, yes, I do, right? So it's the government officials, obviously. Anyways, it's very possible Dixie needs some time to go sideways. That would be fine. If Dixie goes sideways, that I guess keeps us, stable for macro, for more gains, or whatever. A lot of these traditional assumptions might be about to break down. So can you hear the doubt in my voice, the way that I say that? In terms of, more gains because the macro is good, right? Like, these assumptions could be about to break down. We might have to be nimble to try and adjust the way we think about this. Okay, gold looking good, basically finding support currently on the upper standard deviation bands. This is fine. You had a nice breakout. You went from 4,400-ish to about 4,550, and then it's taking a pullback. That was a steep pullback. I don't like the sharpness of this movement. However, this gap, so gold gapped up, and typically gap ups get closed, and so it came down in pretty sharp fashion to close that gap. Overall, this is a chart that is still doing very well. This chart is still on the up and up, especially if it starts to continue up here in the next let's just say week or so, right? If gold starts moving up in the next week or so, expect a new breakout there for gold. So don't sell your gold bags. Continue holding that. Oil. We were talking about oil. Yeah. So oil is weird, guys. Like, the shit's breaking down, and again, more signs that shit is weird in the macro, and we need to be creative and flexible in our thinking and not get locked into certain types of positions. right, of what we think that the collapse of the monetary system will look like. We could be witnessing that, right? This could be a slow roll kind of thing happening. It's not going to be a weekend event. So anyways, the fact that oil continues to move towards the downside, and this thing looks like it's going to want to make the 48 level, right? At the moment, in terms of very, very large headliner levels, let's go to the weekly. Gold looks like it's going to want to make it down here to at least the $50 level, very quite possibly to the $45 level. And if we see macro crashy kind of things happening, expect that to go even lower. Maybe we could get another fucking where gold goes negative, or where oil goes negative, right? That could happen. Anyways, if you guys have I am very open to ideas that you guys might have in terms of what could be the consequences of a true reformation of the taxation and monetary system, right? I'm very open to what kinds of how you guys think that might play out. And I will be critical, but just know that I will be thinking about it as well, right? Any new ideas, right? You always want to be your own first critic on ideas that you have. Let's see, we have an XMR chat here. If anyone's around, they want to put the latest XMR chat on the screen. If not, I will just read it. From coulda, woulda, shoulda, he tips, it looks like 0.1010 bar XMR, Monero. Bawdy needs to go on all kinds of podcasts talking about the power of Monero being independent of the dying traditional system. Bro, I would, I'd be open to going on some podcasts, I guess. I'm not super duper convinced, that people find what they want to find, you know what I'm saying? And there has been some extra spotlight shed on Monero, right? I went on a Soul Bro, on a degen dog meme coin trading Soul degen bro, and on his podcast, I have a natural suspicion of playing inside of any of the sort of corporate cabal institution supported podcasts. I really do have doubts about playing in their game. It's like you should always be hesitant to go play someone on their terms under their rules. But that hesitation only goes so far. I'm only slightly hesitant about it. We'll see what happens. Does anyone get interested? There was a moment on Twitter I was just fucking flying high. I probably said the fuck word too many times, or called someone an asshat, or I probably insulted too many people during the past week of the initial salvos of the tax revolt, and I got shadow banned again. I make a post now, guys. I made a great fucking meme, and I got 4,000 likes on my last tax revolt my tax revolt post, and then I posted a fucking great meme. They got 20 likes. So it's that you don't go from 5,000 likes on a post and 1,000 new follows or 500 new follows to posting a solid meme that gets 20 likes, unless the algorithm has just said fuck you, right? Which is what the algorithm did to me. So
and this is why I use Nostr.
Bro, you got to reach the people, and no one that matters in terms of bringing on new entrants is on Nostr. Nostr might matter to filter out for the people that you that you can trust, Nostr matters for that way, but Nostr is never going to be the replacement for Twitter. That's never going to replace Twitter. And the fucking conversation is happening on Twitter. It's not on Facebook. It's not really on Instagram. People make videos on Instagram, but maybe it's on I don't know, Discord. I'm not super convinced of that.
I saw a tax revolt video that was posted from TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. It's not there's not a conversation happening on TikTok and Instagram. It's more it is a conversation, but it's trading off monologues, which I'm all about. You sometimes, you might need 5 minutes to explain a thesis. But the conversation that's happening, it's on Twitter. It's been on Twitter. It has never not been Twitter, and it's going to stay on Twitter. It's never going to Nostr. So if you want to reach people that matter, it's on Twitter. So I don't know. I guess, there's a lot of bots, and, the algo does things. It could be too the case that Musk actually does want to promote the tax revolt, and that could be somewhat to the chagrin of the political elite. That is a real possibility, because, the guy has so much freaking money, and he's got stock valuations that are so insanely high, maybe he does want to, maybe he does have some taxes that he wants to avoid with that. Maybe he has committed some tax sins against the holy government that we don't know about. And maybe he wants to see the IRS come down. Maybe he could get a windfall from that as well. So, there are plausible means by which this conversation could explode and stay exploding and stay relevant, hopefully. So, but I don't know. Trump did mention it, but again, I think he kind of mentioned it. He sort of hinted at it like a couple times in the past year, but I think that's more so these guys know what was coming. They know the Epstein files are never going to get released, that they're not going to release them. They know all the fraud that they've been committing can't stay covered up forever. They know that people are fucking pissed, and this is like they got their algorithms, they got their AI, they have their analysis way beyond what we have. So they probably saw this coming a long ways away. This is not a surprise to them. So again, this is the, hey, let me just say a couple things so that later I can pretend that I was secretly all about it when we can't stop the movements anymore. Because you can trust they are going to try and crack down. There is going to be a crackdown. So know that's coming. Like, take those precautions if you can, right? There's going to be a crackdown. Just expect it. But that crackdown will only hurt them. It will only delay the inevitable. It'll just piss people off even more, right? It'll just piss the hornets off even more. Anyways, so back to the topic of the price report. I think the only thing I also wanted to look at here was silver, because I know we got silver hodlers here.
I did have a question about silver, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot. Go ahead.
I've been looking up like Fed QE and things like that on YouTube recently, and I've been seeing things like a couple, like 3 systemically important banks are having trouble meeting their silver squeeze quota, like their silver quotas, and they're being liquidated by the exchanges and stuff like that. And the Fed had to bail them out for like $24 billion. So if you have anything to say on that, I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah. So, oh, you know what? That's actually one thing that we didn't talk about, that I forgot to mention, for the New Year's post. Okay. So the Fed balance sheet. So in terms of like QE, Fed balance sheet looks like, it's been going up. So that would be quantitative something. I don't know exactly what they call it these days. We just still call it QE because we already got psyoped into calling it quantitative easing instead of reckless money printing, which is, probably what it should be called. Anyways, you can see the quantitative reckless money printing happening in real time, or, delayed slightly, like a week. So there's that. And then let's talk about the reverse repos. This happens like when it comes to repo agreements, as we cross the New Year's threshold, and I probably should have mentioned this on the last price report, my bad, guys. It always spikes January 31st or like the last business day, January 30th, whatever. The last business day, it spikes up overnight to some like massive level. You can see here that was $100 billion got injected just before the close of the new year, and then crashes back down, immediately after. The exact same thing happened 2025. You see the spike? It was significantly larger, but this spike was a spike up that happened leading into the new year and then immediately came crashing back down. So this guy right here. So and at that time, that was from 500 billion down to about 240 billion. So lost about 250 billion in the course of a week. Gained and lost 200 plus billion in the course of a week. It was only 100 billion this time, but this is actually, I don't know what drives this, but I'm sure it's got to be some kind of end of year shuffling for corporate finance, accounting, tax, whatever reasons that I'm not privy to. I would be interested if Mateo has some kind of idea on that, because he himself is an accountant. Maybe that's not his specialty. I don't know. But so all of the videos that you're seeing out there that are like, oh my God, the Fed has had to inject liquidity into the banks and it's about to crash. No, it's just the end of the year, and that this happens every single time for the past. This is I think the 3rd time running now. Yeah, because this happened at the 2025 changeover, and it also happened in the 2024 changeover as well. Yeah, so you see this spike right here. This was the 2024 New Year's spike. So yeah, don't worry about those guys saying that it's about to crash because of the Fed repo window injecting money into the banks. It's just something that they do at the end of the year. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that really annoys me. Not you. I'm actually really glad you reminded me to talk about that. Because if you hadn't, I would have forgotten. But it annoys me to no end to see these fucking these financial bros out there with their fucking podcast talking nonsense. They don't know what the market looks like. They haven't studied it. They haven't seen the patterns. They're just making videos, they're just trying to get clicks, right? They just want to be popular. They get paid for being popular. They put out videos and people follow them and they say nonsense. They say good stuff half the time, and the other half the time they just say nonsense, and and it's okay. Like, it's finance. Like, you're going to say stuff that's wrong a lot, but you need to be able to reasonably categorize the strength of your opinions and confess when you're like, yeah, I'm just going off my feels on this one, as opposed to, no, this is a very clear pattern that we've seen over and over again for the past 3, maybe even 4 years, where you spike up like this, right? So I'm very confident in that, and I can hopefully articulate that in a way that the listeners can understand. But it annoys me to no end, these these financial podcasters that just get out there and put out information that doesn't illuminate or help people to understand markets or make better decisions. Anyways, all right, I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry. That's it. I don't think there's anything else we need to look at, guys. I've really gone on longer than I should have on this. So hopefully,
did you want to look at silver? Because I asked about it, but I slightly tangented to you.
That's right. I am by nature kind of a forgetful person. I have all these little ways of keeping myself from forgetting stuff, because I have the tendency to do that. Anyways, what was your question on silver?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have a question on silver. Did you want to look at silver? Because I thought you were going to check the charts or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did want to look at silver. So right now it's setting a wedge structure, and this is again a bullish scenario in general. Oh, you know what you mentioned, that the banks maybe they had short positions that were about to get wrecked. There was news on I can't remember if it was the LBMA or the COMEX, one of the major bullion exchanges. They increased the reserve requirement for people taking futures positions. And the speculation is that someone got utterly wrecked and either couldn't pay or almost couldn't pay. And also maybe they just see the writing on the wall, right? Maybe they see what's happening and they realize hey, silver's not done, and there's going to be violent movements. Gold and silver are not done. And they probably see the financial sea change happening in front of us. Finally, the libertarian, the libertarians don't quite understand how that's going to play out, but this the big change that we've been saying is it's coming, right? It's probably actually incipient now, and they probably see this, and so maybe they're updating you need to hold more silver for the basis, of your leverage positions, futures positions, etc. So yeah, we can only speculate on why that is, but they did increase the reserve requirements, and I'm probably phrasing that wrong. This is badly paraphrased. But they did increase the requirement at one of the major bullion exchanges. And let's see, we spiked up to 83 on silver, and that was just before the new year. Yeah, I mean, this chart, with this kind of pressure, this is this isn't over. It's not over. It's not done. That wasn't a blow off top wick. This pattern is going to resolve towards the upside, break this wedge, and then keep going. Again, we are probably looking, we're looking over $100. Silver is in absolute price discovery mode. It could end at hundreds of dollars. If the monetary system truly can't keep it together, then silver will end at maybe $1,000 or more. Because again, people are gonna need, and they're gonna realize this, if the tax protesters and then the people that follow, right? When everyone realizes that, hey, the tax protesters, almost none of them had a problem, then everyone just disobeys. Everyone's going to be like, well, what do we do now? They're inflating the money. Well, shit. Okay, let's go. Got any junk silver, right? Do you have any pre-1965 quarters and dimes and nickels? I got a silver dollar. Hey, what about these goldbacks? These look pretty cool. Goldbacks, guys, gonna be huge, gonna be big. There's a big chance there, big opportunity. Sell me goldbacks. I will buy your goldbacks. I will buy a lot of them, too many of them, at Monerotopia. Let's see what else. Oh, and then they're going to go to crypto. That's a whole other monologue. I won't get into it. Maybe later, but yeah, we're going to be using crypto. So anyways, there's going to be price discovery across the board. It could happen. I'm looking ahead, right? I'm not talking next month. I'm talking over the next year, maybe 2 years. We don't know when fundamental events happen and micro triggers like the Somali story. We don't know when those break, and they can cause waterfall moments, right? That can be somewhat unpredictable. But everything is set up. It's all primed. It's all ready, right? So these are the things to be looking for into the next year, in terms of global markets and the sociological change. Woo the change. To quote South Park. All right, guys, I think that's all I got. And let me see if we missed any. No, we didn't miss any XMR chats. Check the YouTube here, make sure there's nothing that someone wants to look at. No, I guess not. I don't really see anything.
All
Just some
right.
chit chat.
Doug, you want to move us on to the guest segment then? Is Doug still
All
around?
right. No, I'm back. All right.
I
was just listening in on Trump. He was giving a update on what happened in Venezuela. So it sounds like the U.S. is going to be occupying Venezuela and running the country until they can figure out who in Venezuela should take Maduro's place. So that is the long and short of it. Quite interesting. Talking about how they're going to basically take over all the oil production, and how they'll be selling oil to Russia and China. Interesting stuff.
Interesting. You know what? Maybe if that's what he said, that's very interesting. I didn't think that Russia and China were that dependent on Venezuela oil. I need to go look at that. But if that's truly the case, they are going to drive the price of oil up. Then if that's the case, then the invasion of Venezuela was all about saving the price of oil. Because remember, I've been looking at that chart. We've been looking at that chart for months saying, it looks dicey. This shit wants to break down. That is not good. And they've managed to keep it together. But, this is probably about saving the price of oil more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's also right about kind of the chess match that's taking place between the U.S. and China, right? I believe I heard that some of the higher up Chinese officials were actually in Venezuela when this all took place.
Interesting.
All right, so I guess we'll leave it at that for price report. It looks like Nihilist is ready, so yeah, I'll go ahead and run the special guest segment, and we'll bring Nihilist up, and he can give his presentation on what he's been working on. Let me go ahead and find it. Here we go.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Okay, Nihilist, what's going on, man?
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good. I don't know if you want to share your screen, if there's anything you want to show, and I can go ahead and bring that up.
Yeah, I can, actually.
Yeah.
So what I have for you guys today is a new project of mine that I have kickstarted on in my community. Basically, we are trying to make a new darknet. So we are trying to replace Tor and I2P. And for now, it's still in the planning and brainstorming phase. So that's what we've been doing for the past weeks.
Yeah, I know you mentioned it a few weeks ago. So just like real quick, like for those of us that know I2P and Tor, and NIM, like how would you describe those, and how could this potentially differ from those?
So the issue I have with either of them, actually, let me share my screen. It would be easier for me to explain.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Share screen. One moment, please. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I hope it won't break my connection.
Boom.
Is it visible?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, nice. So this is the website of the project that I set up the other day. It's very minimal. Okay, don't. I know it looks like shit for now, but it will get better. Anyway, so it has all of the links. If you guys want to check it out, you need to browse it from the Tor browser for now. And including there's the specification documentation that I've been working on lately, which is right here. Okay. So basically in here, I detailed everything I think the network should have and the justification behind it. So we are looking basically to provide bidirectional anonymity, in short. So the goal is mentioned just below. Yeah, here. So basically we want, let's say you are client node A, okay? You are Doug, let's say, and you want to access my website. If you want to access my website via the Datura network, you should be able to access my website via the network, first of all, and you should be able to do so without knowing where the server is. And the same thing should apply on the server side end. I should not be able to know what my clients are, basically. I should not be able to know, okay, this client comes from, I don't know, Germany, okay? No, the data network will basically provide anonymity for both the clients and the servers. That's the main goal. So this is mainly what Tor and I2P are providing right now. And we want to compete against that, basically. But the
and
issue
is it that you see? Is it that you see shortcomings with those other solutions, or you just think the more the better? What's your thinking with that?
So my thinking with that is that their threat model is not enough. It was enough 20 years ago. Let me be honest. But in 2025, you have global passive adversaries. So that means you have powerful adversaries that are able to monitor the traffic of the an entire country, for example. So when you take that into account, you need to realize one thing is that this is the main part of the threat model, actually, right here. So let's suppose that I am a malicious user, okay, and I want to de-anonymize your website, let's say, okay. I want to know where it is so I can take it down. All I need to do is I send a lot of data to your website. Let's say I send 100 gigabytes worth of data, and I know that I received 50 gigabytes of data from your website, okay? And if I have the capability of a global passive adversary, I can look at the bandwidth consumption of your internet service provider and my own, So if I am able to know that, okay, there's only one place in, let's say, Germany, one place in Germany only that received 100 gigabytes and sent 50 gigabytes, I might have the place actually where the service is. So when you take this into account, you're going to realize that Tor is not enough, I2P is not enough either, and so this is one of my main arguments against both of those. Like, they don't protect against everything. They protect against de-anonymization, but not against global state level adversaries. That's the main drawback of them, and that's what we want to solve, actually.
Now, I would think part of what gives a system like this resiliency and privacy is having a large user base. Is that the case, or not necessarily? Because I mean, obviously, that's going to be, I would think, your hardest issue is getting adoption and usage, right?
Yeah. Let me take a step back quickly. Anonymity as a concept in general, okay, it's about having a crowd to mingle with. You must be indistinguishable from other people in a crowd. So yeah, the bigger the crowd, the better. And in today's world, Tor has the biggest anonymity network. So from a practical standpoint, you want a bigger crowd to meddle with. So okay, fine. But for the reason I've said, for the threat I just mentioned before, you need to protect against de-anonymization attacks. And there are a lot of red flags with Tor. Like I could go on a big tangent on that. Forgot where I was at. Yeah. So as a concept,
just the anonymity set and adoption, right? Like overcoming the need to actually get people to use it, right?
Yeah. So one thing I want to implement in this network to enhance the adoption is the ability for everyone to be a node. So this is something that I2P has, which Tor doesn't. So right now, if you are on Tor, you want to contribute to the network, you basically need to rent a VPS, let's say, and you need to run a node there, and then everyone can start to use it. So that's the entry bar to get in. But on I2P, you just need to run the node, even if it's at home, and you can be a node, and everyone can use that node. So we want to have that also. I think it has a good adoption potential. And yeah, even if you are behind the NAT, so behind the NAT means you are at home, right? You don't expose any ports to your node, okay? But still, it is possible to connect to the rest of the network and have the rest of the network connect to you also to route traffic.
Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, I chimed in here with all these questions, but if you want to kind of give your presentation from the top.
Sure. Yeah, I have a lot to say. Just warning you.
Take it away. Take it away. This is obviously very interesting, and looks like this isn't a small project, right? I imagine this is a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah. To me, this is it will probably take a few years to complete. But right now I want to spend at least a few more months to effectively plan it out correctly, having the correct threat model, the correct features, the correct mindset, So we want to plan the whole thing out perfectly before going for it. But yeah, that takes time, and it's already taken me a few months.
Wow.
Anyway. So first of all, the threat model. We want to protect against this main thing, which is making sure the global passive adversaries are not able to just look at the traffic coming out and coming from nodes to be able to de-anonymize them. So both for the clients and also for the hidden services. So that's first, number one. We want to protect against disruptive adversaries, so DDoS attacks. A malicious client should not be able to put hidden service out of business, and hidden service should not be able to put client node A out of the network, and either of them should not be able to disrupt the network either. So this is also part of the threat model that we want to make sure that we take into account. And the most difficult threat we want to render useless is Sybil attacks. So this is the threat where you have an adversary that runs a huge amount of nodes in the network to be able to de-anonymize users from the beginning. Let's say I am the adversary. I run these nodes here that you see in the middle. And I just log in what comes in, what goes out. Okay. And what goes in is user C, and what goes out, it goes out to hidden service, this one. So I am able to know user C talk to the hidden service because I control all these nodes and I aggregate the traffic coming in and out. So this is our threat model, okay? And we have quite a few features we want to have. So fundamentally, for the network, you have nodes, okay? Public nodes that are on VPSs, that's just like on Tor, okay? Node A to node P. And when you start the daemon on your local machine, you can connect to those nodes, okay? That will allow you to discover the network. Once you are connected to, let's say, node F right here from node A, okay? You are becoming a node, actually. And so does every other user that has connected to those public nodes in green. And so that was what I was talking about before. This is really for the adoption potential, that it is as easy as possible to run a node, and that you can contribute to the network as easily as possible. And we want to also be able to make nodes connect to each other, even if both are behind NATs, via UDP hole punching. So just saying that's part of the feature set that we want to have. Now, let's get technical a bit. So if, let's say I am client A, okay, and you are Bob running a hidden service on node E right here. If I am able to know the full path to you, that means I know where the hidden service is. So we have what's called rendezvous nodes that are going to be in the middle. And basically, to be able to receive traffic from users, you will be able to choose rendezvous nodes. For example, node E right here chose node C right here. Let me zoom in a bit. Oh, yeah, so node E right here chose node C to be able to receive basically traffic. And node A knows that to be able to access the hidden service, they need to talk to node C, okay? So the only thing that node A knows of the circuit stops at the rendezvous nodes. Node A knows B, C, and node A knows H, G, okay? They don't know what's beyond the rendezvous nodes. So that allows us to preserve the bidirectional anonymity. And same goes for the hidden service. For example, E right here, they know the circuit is C, D, E, F, G, but they don't know the rest, basically, that there's node H, A, and B. So this is actually one of the core features of the network. Yeah, bidirectional anonymity enforced on the protocol level. And to make it even harder to guess where the actual nodes are, we want to have probabilistic path lengths, meaning the length of the path can be as small as this, so 3 hops, as you can see here, or it can be much more, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it can be even 7. So we will leave the choice to the user to pick the length of the traffic. You know,
would it be better to randomize that?
By default, we want to make it random. Yeah.
So yeah, like the path would just be randomly chosen somewhere between 3 and 7 or something like that.
Yeah. So that there will be a default way of functioning. Okay, it will be random as a default, but we want to give the power to the user. For example, node A right here, if they want high latency and perfect anonymity, and they are willing to bear with additional bandwidth and additional latency, just like on I2P, all right, they can choose to have longer path lengths, or if they want lower anonymity set and lower latency, they can choose a shorter path to the rendezvous nodes. So this is one part of the features, and I have a ton of other ones. let me go in quickly. So here you're going to start to see similarities with Monero. So this is why I wanted to present it here. To ensure, if you remember, we want to ensure the usability of the network, and we want to make sure that it's not easy to DDoS it. Okay. So we want to basically not allow any useless traffic. So if you're node A, let's say, and you want to talk to node B, okay, you don't, as node B, I mean, you are node B, okay, and you don't want this node A to waste your resources for nothing. So you make them pay basically a RandomX challenge. So you generate a RandomX challenge. You send it to them, say, okay, now you have to pay in a RandomX solution to me, for me to basically give you the pass to use my connection at 1 megabyte per second, let's say. By default, it is throttled to 10 kilobytes, so just enough to ask for the RandomX challenge and to give it back, basically, and share the solution. And afterward, basically, once node B validates that node A gave them the correct solution, they will basically allow you to talk to me at 1 megabyte per second. So this basically is already something that will stop a malicious adversary from flooding the network uselessly. and this is actually a big problem that I see on the Tor and I2P. This should not be it should not be free for someone to just flood the network with random data, garbage data. No, it should be expensive for them. So we want to basically make the users pay in CPU power. Let's say they mine for I don't know, 30 seconds. Okay, so it's acceptable. 30 seconds they have to mine a RandomX challenge, find a solution to be able to build a circuit. So the circuit you've seen above right here. They have to mine the challenge of node G, H, B, and C to be able to have this this circuit right here. So anyway, this is the first core component of the network we want to have. Then we want to have decoy destinations. So let me go back quickly to the threat model. Threat model says, so I am the malicious node A, the client. So from my perspective, I know that I sent 100 gigabytes to hidden service B, and I know that I received 50 gigabytes from it. So this means that node B is anyway going to receive 50 gigabytes. Sorry, it's anyway going to receive 100 gigabytes, and it is anyway going to send 100. It is only going to send 50 gigabytes. So that means node B cannot be the only one to receive 100 and send 50. So this is why we need more than just one node that receives and sends that same amount of data. So going back down there. So here we're going to have decoy destinations. Okay, this is node A, which actually above is going to be the rendezvous node, and basically it's going to send data not just to the destination node 1, but it is also going to send it to node 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. And only one is the real path, and the 7 other ones are decoy destinations. So from the threat model you've seen just before, D1 is going to receive 100 gigabytes, but so does 2 and 28 actually. And the same, we are going to see below, they are also going to send back 50 gigabytes each. Anyway, so let me jump to that a bit. So I also detailed how it would work to unlock the bandwidth, the procedure to unlock the bandwidth, as I detailed above. So you have to solve a proof of work challenge to be able to widen the bandwidth, as shown here. And it will work actually on multiple hops, actually. So not just one hop, but multiple hops. There's a procedure that we want to implement to do just that. And here you have the same thing for 3 hops. And here you see unlocked at 1 megabyte per second, etc. Ideally, since this is RandomX, we want to also hook it up to Monero. Yeah, we want to contribute to Monero. Basically, you make your clients pay, okay, solve this proof of work, please, and send me the solution. And secretly, it could be actually, coming from Monero P2 pool. And we want to, make sure that it benefits Monero in some way. The issue with that is that even on P2 pool Nano, the difficulty is quite high. And I have an amazing maintainer in my community called Midas. He's working on this as we speak right now, actually. And he may have found a way to make this work so that it doesn't make the client node A mine for 1 hour to build a circuit. Maybe there's a way to make them just work for 2-3 seconds, and they can still use the network afterward. So we want to keep. Yeah, sorry.
If I remember correctly, you can use any sidechain name you want on P2 pool. So like just standard, nano, and mini are just the ones that are by default. But I think you could use any name you want, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, yeah, I need to look into that. But yeah, the difficulty we've been facing is that the default difficulty takes too long to solve. So yeah, we want to keep it user friendly a bit, because you don't want to have to mine like 1 hour to build a circuit to a website. It's nonsense. You need to have an acceptable delay, basically. So yeah, that's ongoing actually, and going forward. So we want to have a hidden services address, just like on Tor. See, it's going to be, for now, I'm thinking we might have the same format, but I know another developer in my community wants to make it post-quantum. So it's not going to be just ED, the classical curve algorithm, maybe a post-quantum one. So I have scheduled this for a proof of concept. As you can see, it's the same as on Tor. So that's my idea. I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but yeah, that's part of what we want. And there's going to be a whole how to say mechanism to be able to know where the rendezvous nodes are using a hashing function. I won't delve deep into it, but I mean there's going to be a DNS way of finding effectively where the rendezvous nodes are, to be able to know where to basically where you can communicate to a hidden service, basically, and where the hidden service can communicate back to you. So anyway, that's a whole topic. I mean, it's pretty complex, and yeah, we want to keep the network in such a way that the client is able to choose where the connection goes and where it comes from, all the way up to the rendezvous nodes, like I explained above. And that also includes the decoy destinations. So it would be like that. You basically pay for both the real nodes to forward your traffic, and you also pay for the nodes to receive your decoy traffic also. Anyway, so how will this all look? It will maybe look like this. Let me zoom in a bit, because I detailed the whole the whole way truth function. So here you are in the middle here. I don't know if you can see node A, and you have 8 decoy in total, 8 decoy sources. Okay, so let's suppose I want to talk to hidden service node B. Okay, I want to choose the whole circuit below the rendezvous nodes. Okay, and so I am the only one. Important thing to know: I am the only one that knows which one is the decoy destination and which is the real destination. The only thing I do is I just pay every node in RandomX to route traffic for me. So this is one thing. And I also pay this rendezvous node right here to receive traffic from me from the hidden service. So anyway, how it will look like. So at first, I send traffic to myself on my own local node with the destination being the hidden service. Okay. And then, this is where it gets a bit complicated. I send so I sent the traffic to myself, okay? And now I know what the traffic must look like. It must look like, let's say, 100 packets, and each of them is 1 megabyte big, okay? So I tell that info of what the traffic should look like to the decoy sources. So it has to go through the whole circuit. And now at this point, all of the decoy sources know what the traffic should look like, okay? And once they receive it, they send it. So now you have 8 sources that all send the same shape of traffic. One is the real traffic, and the 7 other ones is just garbage traffic, okay? But that means you have an anonymity set of 1 out of 8. If a global passive addressor is looking at all of the network connections of all of the nodes, they know that you sent 100 gigabytes. Let's imagine 100 gigabytes, okay, over time. But you have also 7 other decoy nodes that also send 100 gigabytes. So the anonymity set is preserved, and then it goes to the rendezvous node that has been chosen by the hidden service, and it forwards the traffic to the decoy destinations and also the hidden service. So right now you have not just one node that receives 100 gigabytes, you have 8 nodes that receive 100 gigabytes. Now, you might be asking, okay, but what if the adversary is running the nodes that are in green here? Because that's part of the threat model, like it's called Sybil attacks. So we have the following concept. Let's say you are hidden service B, okay? You have a website, let's say like the one I have here, and you want to ensure your anonymity stays solid. You're not running any other node, okay? Just this one. And you pick 7 other nodes to be your decoy destinations to receive also traffic for you. Now, let's say the thing is, this is your theoretical anonymity set is 1 out of 8. Why? Because you do not run them. You do not run these decoy destination nodes. So what this means is if the adversary is running all of the nodes, then you don't have an anonymity set that's 1 out of 8. You have an anonymity set of 1 out of 1, being you're not anonymous actually, because the adversary knows that these are decoy destinations. So what I want to do to defeat this is the ability for nodes, let's say me, I am Bob right here, to trust other nodes that I run. So let's say I run not just this one node, I also run like 3 other nodes, okay? I run 3 other nodes, node 2, 3, and 4, and I trust them, and I make sure that I use them as decoy nodes. So this means that I know for a fact, because I am running them, that the adversary is not controlling node 2, 3, and 4. So I know that my real anonymity set is at least 1 out of 4. The adversary might run 8, 7, 6, 5. I don't know, maybe. But I know that at least my real anonymity set is 1 out of 4 because I control these 4 nodes. And ideally, you control all 8 nodes from B to 2 to 8. And that's when you know your real set is 1 out of 8 because you control them, the adversary does not control them, and they all receive all the data and they send all the data you want. So yeah, that's the big gist of it. And to build on top of that, so if you have only one node, your ability to verify the network behaves as expected is limited because you have only one node to see from. But given that we have decoy destinations, we want to have decoy destinations and decoy sources, you send traffic to a node, it goes to another node, and that other node might be yours, control. So you can see if you control 2 nodes and trust those 2 nodes, let's say, you can use them in tandem to verify if an untrusted node C, let's say, behaves as expected. You tell it, okay, route this traffic for me and forward it to B, okay? If C does not forward the traffic to B, then you know that C cannot be trusted. So the more nodes you run, the more your ability to verify the network works, the better, basically. So yeah, we want to incentivize people to run nodes, basically, to basically keep the network in check. And there's going to be gradual bandwidth allocation. There's going to be probabilistic path lengths. So this is just what we covered just above, but with the paths being random in length. And as I said before, we want to leave the choice to the user to pick shorter path lengths. So if they are willing to accept an anonymity set of 6 instead of 8, fine. Then they can have the following. It's their choice. It's not default. But if they choose to have it, then we can we let them have a lower bandwidth and lower latency at the cost of lower anonymity. And we can have 1 out of 4, for example. We can have 1 out of 2, for example.
Lower bandwidth or higher bandwidth?
Lower bandwidth, because the traffic you send, let's say here, if I have to send 100 gigabytes to hidden service B, there's only going to be another decoy node that is going to send it. So in total, 200 gigabytes. But here, we're talking eight times that. so yeah, there's always going to be a trade-off when it comes to having anonymity on the IP layer. You have to there's how to say. If you want to have anonymity, you have to accept some extra bandwidth and some extra latency consumption.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's inevitable. So we accept that, and we bake that into the threat model and into the network design. And for example, this is the lowest possible circuit you can have if both node B and node A agrees to it. But you have non-existent anonymity here because let's say I am malicious node A, and I picked this rendezvous node here. I just need to monitor, if I control it, I can monitor what node B does. So this is the reason why you should not pick these lower circuits. You want to hide behind, let's say, this node right here, to prevent your IP from being revealed to this node D11 that the adversary might be running. Because we need to remember that the clients can also be malicious for clients. And it could also be the adversary. So we want to protect against that on the protocol directly. And to make sure there's incentives to use that Tura network, we want to have exit nodes. So this is a concept you see from Tor, but for Tor it's only to access the clearnet. Here we want to have exit nodes to access other darknets. So here, for example, we have Tor exit nodes within that Tor network to access Tor network, to access Onion websites. And we will also have exit nodes to access the I2P network, to access EEP sites. So if you have access to Datura network, you will not be limited to just Datura websites. You will also be able to access Onion and I2P websites. And this is where it gets interesting, in my opinion. By default, within Datura network, if you try to access the clearnet with it, you will be able to do so by default by using the Tor exit nodes, which goes to the Tor network. And it's widely known that Tor exit nodes are able to access the clearnet and also the clearnet websites. So we have a low-cost solution to be able to access the clearnet with that Tor network that is for free. Okay, you will have to accept a pretty high bandwidth, a pretty high latency, but it will be possible for free. And we plan to have secret clearnet exit nodes. What I mean by that is that there's been controversy from Tor that's been there from the beginning of their exit node stuff. It is that they publicly list them. So this means that if there are websites that don't want to be accessed anonymously, they can basically block traffic coming from Tor. And I think that of course, it's hard to hide the exit nodes because you will always have adversaries that will try to list them all. But I think we can make it as expensive to do that as possible. So what I want to have is, let's say you have the ability to run an exit node, okay, and you run one, okay. Thing is, it's secret. You need to tell people that this is an exit node for them to be able to use it as a clearnet exit node. So what we want to do is we want to provide the exit node runners the following. We want to be able to, we want to give them a full tutorial, including a PHP HTML website hooked up to a Monero local node to basically receive payments, to be able to enable them to make clients pay in Monero, to reveal to them one Datura exit node. So what this does is it will allow exit node runners to be paid in Monero to provide clear net access that is low latency for the Datura users. And the good thing about it, I think, is that we incentivize essentially the adversary to continuously pay the exit node runners to be able to block them. And the way this will work is that we want to. So the only thing that that forces them to pay continuously is the uncertainty as to how many secret Datura exit nodes there are, because these are not going to be listed publicly. We want to be as hostile to the adversaries as possible. This means that it's a greater burden, first of all, for the exit node runners to bear, because they have to explain that the traffic is coming from Datura network to the cloud provider. And so this is the number one. And but they will get financial compensation for it, because the clients will pay them for bearing this burden, basically, to run exit nodes. And the adversary that is paranoid about it, that want to stop anonymous connections, they will have to continuously pay all of the secret. They have to pay all of the exit node runners continuously, in hopes to have all of the exit nodes listed to be able to block them. And there will always be uncertainty about it. Like maybe they got 90% of them, or maybe they got 0.1% of them, and that's it. They cannot do. They have no way of knowing basically where the nodes are. So yeah, that's the gist of it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I know I went on a huge tangent.
I do have some questions. Actually, I really like what I'm hearing, first of all. I really, really like what I'm hearing. My one question, well, a couple of questions. First of all, the bit rate. You said that at first it's going to start at 10 kbps, which will give you enough to get the challenges and solve them and send them back, the proof of work challenges. And that will scale to 1 Mbps. Now, can I raise that bandwidth farther? Because my biggest problem on the Tor network right now is that I want to access my Monero node. I run a Tor hidden service on my Monero node, and it sits here in my bedroom, and I'm accessing it from my phone. And my wallet, my RPC wallet, is slow to synchronize with the node because it's over the Tor network. Can I, on the Datora network, on your network, can I move the bandwidth up past 1 megabit per second if I do a harder proof of work challenge or something like that to get higher bandwidth to sync my node, my wallet faster?
I think that can be done, but the issue is the following. Let me go over that quickly. Let's say I am node A, okay? You are node A. You want to access node E, that is a hidden service, and you can only pay node B, C, H, and G. You only see up to the rendezvous node, remember? You cannot decide the bandwidth on the other side, because this is where the hidden service pays for them. So it will always be dependent on node A and E to decide the bandwidth they want to send to and from. So if both of them are agreeing to send and receive at 3 megabytes per second instead of 1 megabyte per second, fine, actually, yeah, we can do that. But it will always come at the higher proof of work cost, actually. So by default, I want the network to be usable. I think 1 megabytes per second is okay, it's reasonable, okay, for regular web browsing, okay. But if you are willing to wait longer to have a higher bandwidth consumption, fine by me, yeah, no problem. But
And-
it has to include the nodes on the other side of the rendezvous nodes. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, so the hidden service would have to, like, you and the hidden service would have to agree. I'm assuming there would be some sort of exchange that would take place at the 1 megabit per second that says, hey, I'd like to increase my bandwidth to 3 megabits a second. Do you agree? And if the response is yes, then you both do the proof of work to go 3 megabits a second.
Yep. Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah. That's
Okay, good. Because that's the one thing about Tor that really irks me. I don't mind browsing Tor, like the hidden services and whatever, but synchronizing a Monero wallet over it is really, really painful. It's not fun, but I do it just because I want the anonymity and I want to be able to use my own Monero node from anywhere.
Yeah.
My second question is, maybe it's because I couldn't see your charts or graphs or whatever because of my vision. You said that the client and the service can't see anything past the rendezvous nodes. Are they using different rendezvous nodes? So it's like node A using C and the hidden service using, say, D or E, or are they both using C? And if they're both using C, can node C see the communications between A and whatever, A and E or whatever? So if, like, the government was running C, could they see what's going on?
Yeah. So what you see here is, so okay. There's one thing I didn't explain. So let's say you are node B right here. Okay. You receive a packet from node A, and it's encrypted. And until you decrypt it, you do not know where it should go. So there's no such thing as an established circuit from A to B to C to D to E. No, the packet is sent to B. B decrypts it. B realizes it's not for them. It's meant for C. So they forward it to C. And it goes on like this. So that's first of all. And second of all, as you can see, it's like a ring. You have A it starts at A, it ends at E, and it goes back to A through another route. So this is similar to how I2P works. Not familiar with if they have rendezvous nodes or not, but what we want here is basically you have node A, you are node A, okay, and you want to be able to pick a node that's going to receive packets for you. Like if I want to make an analogy, you want to receive a package and you set up a PO box to receive that package. That's your rendezvous node, actually. And all you need to tell the hidden service is tell him, okay, send your packages to this PO box. And great, you receive your packages to your rendezvous node PO box. And the hidden service does the same, actually. They tell you, okay, if you want to talk to me, send the packages to this PO box rendezvous node, and I'll receive the packages thanks to that.
So it's similar to SimpleX.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Both destinations pick a node, and it's unidirectional streams. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I see. So that one node can't decrypt the traffic for both sides and know that they're talking with each other. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that Tor doesn't have, by the way, because for Tor it's bidirectional circuits. One thing to note there. Yeah, and sorry.
I believe that's all the questions I had that I can remember right offhand. So go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I want to note is that this whole project and the planning so far has been ongoing, first of all, and to help us realize what's possible and what's not possible, we have been doing proof of concepts, and we have a project board right here to schedule the work for that. And as you can see here, there are rewards in Monero. So if there are any good Rust developers in watching right now, don't hesitate. Just send us a message on SimpleX, and we'll get in touch. And basically, we want to prove that what I just explained before is doable. And if it is, if all of it is possible, then we will go ahead and implement it in the actual network at the end. So it's paid rewards for the completion of those proof of concepts. It is as is advertised on Monero Bazaar. So right here, here's the link if anyone wants it. And if you are not a Rust developer and you don't know how to code in Rust, you can help us fund this project right here. I set up the QNO today. So I set the goal at 8 XMR. I think this is going to be plenty enough Monero to basically do all of the proof of concepts. And I think there will be another QNO later on that will have the total price for the whole network, which will probably be higher than 8 XMR. But that will only come after I manage to effectively plan the whole project out. So yeah, that's it.
I thought of another question. You mentioned earlier that the best way to run the network is to have multiple nodes under your own control. And so my question is, could you spawn up 2 nodes on your system at boot? You could spawn up your client node. So I'm, say I'm both A and I also spin up B at the same time. And node A and B both live on my computer. And I say, I know I trust B because it's on my own computer. I'm A, so I want to access a hidden service. I know I trust B because it's on my own computer as well. So I ask untrusted node C to send data to node B because I can trust it. And if C doesn't send the data, then I know it's not trustworthy. Or would that not work?
That would not work because let's say I am the adversary, okay? I am, so you were talking about this right here, yeah. So you have node A and B, and I don't know if you can see, by the way, it's on the left, sorry. Give me a moment, please. It's a big specification document. The problem with that is if the adversary is able to, wait a minute, sorry. God damn it. Give me a second, please. Yeah, here. Okay. So on the left here, you have node A and B, and you don't know if node C is trustable. Node C might be run by the adversary. Let's say I run node C, okay? I see the request is coming from this IP, so node A is on this IP, and I see that I'm being requested to route the traffic to the same IP, but on different node. So it is obvious to me that I need to look trustworthy because I'm being tested by node A right now. The thing that you need to do actually is to make it impossible for node C to know if you are testing them or not. So this is one thing that I want to make sure is in the network is I want to motivate people to route traffic to nodes that are on different locations. Why? Because node C cannot know if location 1 is associated with location 2. So either it's a legit connection request or it's actually a test. And if they don't know if it's a test or not, they have to behave properly all the time. You see what I mean?
Gotcha. Yep, I see.
So you have a total set of nodes, let's say 8,000 nodes, let's say. And I am the adversary. I control, let's say, I don't know, 4,000 nodes, let's say. Let's pick a big number. To prevent everyone from knowing that I am running 4,000 nodes, I mean, well, no, that's not what I want to say. To prevent people from knowing that I am running this big portion of nodes, I would need to behave properly for the ones I want to appear trustworthy to, and I want to do the harm to those that that I want to do harm to. But I don't know when I'm being tested and when I am not being tested. And see, that's the thing. I want the network to be able to reject the malicious nodes. Those that do not behave as expected by the protocol are going to be rejected because they are randomly tested every day, every hour, if needed. And if one node does not behave as expected out of them, then every node is going to reject them eventually because they're going to test them like continuously. So this is also one thing I want to do to stop cyber attacks. Yeah. And one thing to note also that we have explored is if I am a malicious adversary and I make a custom client that is running custom software, and my node basically logs everything, and it also does some malicious stuff too, like not sending the proper responses, etc. First of all, other people that are on the network cannot just SSH into my server and check that I'm running the good hash of the binary, because I can always lie to them. Well, first of all, they cannot log into my server, so they cannot check the binary hash. And if they ask me what the hash is, I'm going to always lie to them. Like I'm going to tell them, yeah, this hash, the binary hash is this one, but I'm lying, So there's no way to check if the untrusted node is running the right hash, because they can always lie to you. The only way you have to check if they are trustworthy is to check them from the outside. So this is what I described to you just before. You task node C to do something for you, and you check if they actually did it from the perspective of node A and B. So this is the way to do it, I think. I mean, this is the only way to do it.
Yeah, I really like what I'm hearing here, especially with the RandomX proof of work. I think that's fantastic. Give them a very low amount of bandwidth at very first, just enough to get the data through, and then up the bandwidth as they wish. That's fantastic.
Yeah, if you're willing to pay the price in CPU power. Yeah, this is I think very important to have, because like I mentioned before, I think this is what Tor and I2P are facing. Like, you have people that are forcing enormous amounts of traffic through it just to lower the bandwidth for everyone. I really believe that is so. Like, either to spy on them, or to just stop the running nodes to spy on them, or to flood the network to make it unusable. So this is something I want to make sure it's really accounted for. Like, you have to provide proof of payment that you are allowed to use this much of traffic. So when you solve the RandomX solution for a node, let's say node C, to route traffic for you, once you have paid, you can send, let's say, 100 megabytes. Speak a small number, 100 megabytes, and this is valid for 1 hour. So if you're going to browse the internet for anonymously for 1 hour, you just have to mine 1 minute, let's say. I mean that's not a good user experience. Let's say you have to mine 30 seconds, and you have 1 hour worth of traffic, normal traffic, for 1 hour. Great. And if you are browsing for more than 1 hour, your client is going to make you mine an additional 30 seconds before the traffic credits run out, to extend your bandwidth consumption for another hour, valid for another hour. So this is going to be actually a big part of the network, I think.
And so if I get to 99 megabytes and it's been 15 minutes, then my client would just make me mine another hash to get another 100 megabytes worth of. Okay.
Yeah. To avoid you from being blocked by the network from communicating, you have to you pay in advance a bit to make sure that you can keep going seamlessly.
Yeah, I like
So
this
yeah,
a lot. I like this a lot.
if you're interested in helping us brainstorm the project and help us actually write it, you can check us out at datura.network. This is the official website that looks like shit that I created the other day. I need to make it more pretty. Here you can see there's the SimpleX chat room link. You just need to click copy link, paste this into your SimpleX client, and then we can talk. Yeah, because we have I think 100 people plus in there, and I mean, this project is filling up my mind for the last few months already. I think we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Doug,
Like
do you
so
have any
far, I
questions?
think it's doable. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Do you have any questions, Doug?
No, I don't have any further questions. Very cool. Thanks, obviously, for jumping up and talking about this today. And yeah, Nihilist, you're always welcome to come up anytime you want to give us an update on this. Or
And if you
anything else
can, stick around for viewers on stage so that if anybody else has any questions, they can ask. Because maybe I didn't get them
Yeah,
all.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Don't worry.
Yes. Please do stick around if you can. And yeah, we'll move it along. I guess I'll quickly run through some news, and then we can do viewers on stage. Bring up anybody that wants to come on up, guys. If you're anybody that's listening that's never been up on the stage, maybe make today the day you do it. 2026, new year, first episode of the new year. Let's get some new viewers on stage people up here. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that have some interesting things to say regarding Monero, what's going on. Don't be shy. You could stay anonymous. You don't have to tell us who you are. But yeah, without further ado, let me quickly run through the news. If I can find the news segment. Here we go. And then we'll do viewers on stage.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right. Nihilist, we can still hear you, by the way. You might want to mute yourself. All right. Adding to the stage here, the news. Try to quickly run through this. First item was from Zeno, posted on X. This went under the radar, but the Monero Research Lab reached a consensus regarding scaling with full chain membership proofs plus hard fork. There will be no sanity cap on block size, meaning it would take 2 to 3 years of aggressive growth for things to break. So yeah, I don't know if anybody recalls. Obviously, I certainly recall that there was a debate a couple of weeks back whether or not they would add a temporary cap to Monero's block size. And there was a lot of pushback against that. People thinking that would, that was an attack on Monero, that they were essentially getting rid of dynamic blocks and effectively implementing a cap on Monero's block size. Well, they won't be doing that. There won't be any cap on the block size, even temporary. So obviously there's some still debate around this issue. People are concerned that this could lead to Monero breaking. Zeno is saying it would take 2 to 3 years of aggressive growth for things to break. Also pointing out below, if the state actually wanted to, they could break Monero literally now with a small budget for them. So suggesting that it could be quite easy to break Monero with enough resources, given the issues that could come with Monero's block size getting too large too fast. But yeah, for those out there who were adamantly opposed to even a temporary restriction on block size, it looks like it appears you have won. So there will be no temporary cap. I leave it up to the geniuses that are, in the Monero Research Lab doing things to make these decisions for us. So it sounds like that's the direction they're moving in. Next story. Why is everyone talking about Zcash and not Monero? Good question. We always question that here on this show. Let's quickly play this clip. It just looked like a fun little clip to play. Here we go.
Why do you think people talk so much about Zcash and not Monero?
Because Zcash does have a modicum of compliance. And so you can generate like a proof, a hash, so you can disclose your transaction to your accountant or to the IRS or to the nation state to make them happy. Whereas Monero, you can't do that. And so like the hybrid unshielded versus shielded address just works well with the traditional financial system, where like Monero is just like straight hardcore cypherpunk middle finger privacy, which is like, it makes it harder to justify to the nation state that this is good, because it's just antagonistic to everything that they want, even though it is privacy preserving to individuals.
Right. Well, I say just, bullish to see that obviously people that aren't normally talking about Monero. I don't know what this podcast is, Top Signal, but very cool to hear them talking about Monero. Some inaccuracies there, I would say, with what he was saying. Basically suggesting that with Zcash, Zcash has view keys and Monero doesn't. Monero does have view keys, so for auditing purposes, you can in fact share view keys on Monero. But what he does get correct is the fact that Zcash has both transparent addresses and private addresses, and because of that, it's, I guess, more friendly to the regulators, and is why we see it on more exchanges, and perhaps why ultimately it's being talked about more than Monero. But I would say just bullish indications overall that we're seeing more and more people talking about Monero. Next story, we have Firo posting privacy coins are taking center stage. This is a response to Cointelegraph posting on essentially the day before New Year's Eve, that privacy tokens are really the only sector that would be finishing in the green this year. So anybody that's part of this community is well aware of that. We didn't really notice this like kind of small bear market that's been happening among other cryptos, because it's been I'd say a privacy bull market. But Firo is saying privacy coins are taking center stage because the threat is no longer theoretical. CBDC pilots, chain surveillance companies going public, transaction censorship becoming routine. People aren't buying privacy anymore. They're buying insurance against a future where every financial move is monitored, controlled, and weaponized. Yeah, I would say that is the case, right? That's the narrative. That's what's going mainstream. People are realizing the importance of a tool like Monero, and that it really is the only thing that can do what it does, which is be private, untraceable digital cash that nobody can mess with, nobody can seize from you, nobody can see what you're doing with. Next story, Dutch designer has created a transparent mask that prevents AI facial recognition from identifying the wearer from any angle. Humans can see the face normally, but cameras cannot, marking a significant step in personal privacy protection. Very cool. It's just a cool looking thing. Would love to have these as swag at Monerotopia, but I'm sure they're quite pricey. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten their hands on one of those. If so, let us know in the viewers on stage, but it does look pretty cool. Obviously, even if you can obscure or obfuscate your face from facial recognition, there's other ways that you can be identified. They could just identify your gait, right? The way you're walking and whatnot. But it's nice to see that there's at least efforts being done to prevent facial recognition. I don't know how popular these will become, but they are cool looking. We got another story, just more news on the encroaching dystopia that's happening globally. China is, of course, leading the way. In China, you can earn 10 social credit points for getting vaccinated. Let's quickly give this a listen over here.
Dandan's criminal, academic, and medical records will feed into her score, as well as state security assessments. Her shopping habits will be another measure. Her score could even change in real time, depending on what she puts in her trolley. Buy a lot of alcohol suggests dependence. Lose a couple of points. Buy a pack of nappies, gain a few. Suggests responsibility. Late on mortgage payments or your tax return, lose a lot more.
All right, so yeah, China's leading the way on where we're headed globally. We're not quite there yet in the U.S., but it appears we're moving in that direction. All the tech is there to pull it off. Yeah, so opt out, use Monero, use XMR Bazaar, live off Monero, peer-to-peer, and that is the only way. Related is Marjorie Taylor Greene posting, very important read that most Americans have no idea happened this past year in Congress. I voted no on the Genius Act because it hands power over to the banks and federal regulatory framework of stablecoins, but opens the back door for central bank digital currencies. I voted yes on Clarity Act. So she voted no on the Genius Act, which basically is opening the door to effectively CBDCs via stablecoins. And she voted yes on the Clarity Act because it protects self-custody, allowing you to control your keys and stops a third party, bank, or exchange from freezing or seizing your assets. But the Clarity Act is stalled in the Senate. So the Clarity Act is the one that we would be rooting for. Looks like it's stalled. That's the one that would actually help us out as Monero users, as digital cash users, protecting our right to use privacy coins and to hold our own keys. But the Genius Act, that seems to be moving ahead. The crypto act that will just help usher in CBDCs effectively. Genius became law. Clarity and other good legislations like anti-CBDCs have not. The real danger lies in digital ID, CBDC, and no self-custody. You think you want to run a tax revolt over Somali scam daycare centers and continued funding of foreign wars? If the government puts digital ID and CBDC and controls your keys, you won't be able to refuse to pay your taxes. You'll only be able to comply or die. This is awesome to hear that these ideas have gone mainstream. Like she totally gets it. Marjorie Taylor Greene totally gets it. Unfortunately, I don't think she'll be in Congress anymore, right? I believe she essentially quit. She got pissed at Trump. But I would say it's good to see that somebody like her actually does get it and understands the importance of a tool like Monero. She doesn't say Monero, obviously, by name, but the importance of crypto and being able to hold your own keys and use it outside of the system. So yeah, I would say yet again another bullish indicator that these ideas are going mainstream.
It might not have been her intention, but she ends up making a really good case for why we have to do this tax revolt now. Because if we wait and they're able to put that CBDC clamp down, then the tax revolt becomes infinitely more difficult. So we have to do it now before the CBDCs and the digital ID hits.
100%. I mean, yeah, like we talked about on the outside of the show, Bawdy's really been on top of this movement. And it's amazing to see it going mainstream. When I took a couple of moments before I was looking through X, and I'm just seeing more and more momentum behind this. It's pretty crazy.
It's
and
it's
exciting.
at least tens of thousands of people right now. It's probably closer to hundreds of thousands already, if not growing towards millions.
And we'll continue to talk about it on the show, and anything we could do to help, push it further, get the word out. I think anybody who listens to this show is kind of already on board, but yeah, whatever we could do to help get more people on board to this. Stats for searches on OrangeFren.com in all of 2025. So this is the entire 2025, end of the year report on what the most used cryptos were on OrangeFren. Monero coming in first place with 42.31%. Bitcoin is second at 25, and then everything else drops off from there. Litecoin, ETH, USDT. Is Zcash even on there? Zcash is at 0.63, so I guess Zcash really isn't swapped on OrangeFren much. So exciting to see, as always, Monero leading the pack.
I was told that Bitcoin Lightning Network would be at the top.
You were wrong. What is this? Wait. Okay, we got let's see what this one is.
BTC-LN is at 1.54%.
Next story. This is pretty interesting. Tweet that kind of that went viral. Somebody posted, I'm a developer. This looks like it was a Reddit post. I'm a developer for a major food delivery app, so like an Uber or one of those popular ones. The priority fee and driver benefit fee go 100% to the company. The driver sees zero of it. So he basically breaks down how the algo is just manipulating the drivers and the users, the customers, to maximize profits for the company and essentially diminish profits for the actual workers. It's pretty sad when you give it a read on how it works. One of the things he highlighted was if a driver usually logs on at 10 p.m., so one of the workers for, let's say, Uber Eats or whatever it is, and accepts every garbage $3 order instantly without hesitation, the algorithm tags them as a high desperation worker. Once they are tagged, the system then deliberately stops showing them high-paying orders. The logic is, why pay this guy $15 for a run when we know he's desperate enough to do it for $6? So just kind of keeping the low-wage earner in this doom loop. So the guy who's willing to do it, the $3 job, doesn't even get shown the larger, more profitable jobs because he was willing to do the small, shitty job. That's kind of depressing. And so this algo just being able to kind of keep those people down. And then he goes into describing how the tipping works, where they predict if a customer is a high tipper, then if the algo predicts that you're a high tipper and you likely drop $10, it offers the driver a measly $2 base pay. So based on predicting whether or not a customer is going to tip a lot, they then adjust the base pay of the worker. So the worker ends up, even though they're getting more tip, they end up getting paid the same amount they would have got paid because their base pay gets lowered. So really, really shitty to see that in motion. That's real, affects so many people. And Harry Halpin retweeted it. This is proof that the current system of algorithmic exploitation must be burnt to the ground. And tip in cash, always. And in the future, using privacy-enhanced crypto like XMR and shielded ZEC so just another indication of why tools like Monero matter, because they're going to eliminate cash, guys. So we'll have to rely on Monero as a cash alternative, a digital cash alternative. And that's the only way we'll be able to beat these dystopian algorithms that are being put in place. I also think go ahead.
Another aspect here about like Airbnb, Uber, these DoorDash, these types of entities. It's another perfect example of the way in which taxation is leveraged as a weapon by these large corporations to prevent any possibility of to create a cartelization of their industry. Because who else? One of the big things that happened with Uber and Airbnb is, they were operating without getting taxes, and then they got compliant, and they spent absolutely massive resources to get compliant across all of the jurisdictions in which they operate. Like, that is a massive undertaking, and there's no way you're starting up a new app that can do that, that can meet those kinds of regulatory requirements. So the tax code is a means of big corporations to weaponize against smaller ones and competitors.
Mm-hmm. Right, they could perfectly tax all the users of the system, which is exactly what they do. Which, yeah, with the last point I wanted to make is, I think this not a new idea, something that's been talked about essentially since the advent of crypto. Would be great to see, like a Monero-based Uber, right? A decentralized Uber with no middleman.
I think I see a way you could possibly do that too.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
What you do is you could go on. You could build it through like Nostr, for example, just kind of like BitChat, kind of like how you open BitChat and you don't even know you're using Nostr in the background. But it could use something like Nostr, And then what you do with that is you'd say, okay, I have 200 fiats per month and I want to get Monero. And so what you would do is you would accept orders from people and they would pay you in Monero, and you would use your debit card or credit card up to 200 Monero, up to 200 fiats worth of your local currency. So you would be losing your local currency, but you would be gaining in Monero.
You're basically saying, I'm not sure I totally follow it. You're saying having other people pay.
So instead of going on a centralized exchange like Coinbase or whatever, say I have $200 extra a month and I want Monero, right? So Coinbase doesn't have Monero. I don't want to use Ray2Swap because it's too damn hard, but I want to deliver food for people. I would go on this app and I would say I have $200 worth of fiat every month, and then people would order from me, and I would use my debit card to pay for their food up to a maximum of $200. And once
it would be a great
it would
post on
deactivate.
XMR. I don't know if anybody's doing that yet on XMR. I know people obviously do shopping on XMR Bazaar for people like proxy shopping. So it's just kind of another form of proxy shopping.
Yeah, it's basically another form of proxy shopping, but it was just through an app where
that would be great.
You could see the restaurant menus and everything like that. That way, the person gets Monero and you get your food, and the person that's driving for you is losing fiat. But that's the point; they want to lose the fiat.
I do have somebody that regularly orders me pizza via with Monero. You know, I pay them in Monero and they order me the pizza. It's actually become more convenient than me traditionally ordering a pizza. I just message them on Signal like, "Yo, grab me a pie."
There you go.
But yeah, I'm thinking just larger too, right? Like kind of a platform. A decentralized version of Uber, right? There's always been talks of something like that. I have yet to see it come to fruition.
Well, that's why I'd say you'd have to use something like Nostr for it.
Right. Next story. This is a big one. The Monero community should take note. Bitmain has announced an Antminer X9 for July, so they're pre-selling these. Obviously, they're probably already using them. It uses custom RISC-V cores, calling it a CPU hyper-optimized for RandomX, reported 1,000 KHS hashes per second. That's 20 to 125 times faster than a high-end CPU miner. So they're calling it an ASIC. It's not really an ASIC. We've been through this before, right? Nobody can effectively build a true ASIC for RandomX, but what they can do is build something that's a little better than normal CPUs. They could get some added efficiency. So they're estimated at 20 to 125 times faster. So that's not nothing. This fundamentally challenges Monero's ASIC-resistant premise. If the next hard forks algo change isn't significant enough, it risks ceding mining centralization to Bitmain. Is Monero going to belong to the people with miner farms? What are the devs proposing? So I think this is a little bit of a little bit of doom FUD, a little overreacting, but relates to the next post I have here, which is kind of in response to that. RandomX.
Watch Cubic buy the whole stock.
Yeah, I mean, we have to assume these have already been live and running on the network, right? I mean, that's how Bitmain functions. I mean, what has Monero's hash rate shown what appears to be like an efficient, effectively an ASIC on the network? I mean, usually that's pretty obvious, right? When that happens,
we'll have to ask Howard Chu. We should it would be great to have Howard back on the show.
I know. Obviously, he's always welcome. You know what? I mean, he really fell off when he got kicked off of X.
Yeah.
Just another reason to use Nostr, I guess. I'm not on there actively, but my understanding is Howard is there. Shortwave, man. If you ever run into Howard on X, please encourage him to jump on the show. Would love to
I believe he is on Nostr, so I can try to send him a message.
Yeah, tell him to reach out. We'd love to get him to come down to Monerotopia. Obviously, would pay for him. Would reimburse him. We'd love to get him to. I mean, I think in his mind too, it's like he's done his work, and he doesn't have much more to say. But now with, new developments like this, there are things to say. So RandomX V2 is not abandoned. It's still planned for the next Monero network update. The new algorithm will introduce hash RandomX commitments for faster verification. What's more important right now is that it also aims to increase efficiency of Ryzen and other modern CPUs in general in terms of work done per joule of energy. So it's going to make it more efficient for CPUs to mine Monero via RandomX. Efficiency can't be measured directly in hashes as the algo will change. With Tevidor, me, and Howard at HYC, we have identified a few areas in the original RandomX where modern CPUs get stalled, bottlenecked, and don't perform at their full potential. So RandomX V2 fixes these findings. RandomX V2 in its current form will bring 10 to 15% improvement of RandomX instructions and 2x increases in AES instructions executed per joule of energy on AMD and Intel CPUs. Hash rate will stay roughly the same depending on the CPU. Will it be enough to neutralize Bitmain's X9's advantage over the most efficient AMD EPYC builds? That's the question. Probably no, they say, but V2 will make it significantly less efficient, at least by 30%. Further tweaking might improve these numbers. So yeah, it's not a Bitmain killer. It's not going to kill off these new X9s, but it's going to kind of dwindle the advantage that they have. My current plan is to finish the implementation in January and then spend some time tweaking it further. P.S. To answer the possible questions, no, X9 did not change my plans because I've been planning for early 2026 RandomX V2 release for a long time and started actively working on it in December. So yeah, we'd love to get Howard on, or I had Tevidor on with Howard years ago when they first were launching RandomX. Tevidor really likes to stay kind of behind the scenes. Sec1 we've had on in the past. Maybe we get him to jump up at some point. But obviously great to see that there's improvements to RandomX coming down the pipe. It's not going to completely, make these new Bitmains obsolete. There's really no way to do that. There's no way to brick, one of these new Bitmains because it's not really an ASIC. It is essentially, just a more efficient CPU. So you can't brick it like we did in the old days. Just kind of create a new algo and then it like boots all these old ASICs off the network. Because at the end of the day, they're just CPUs. But yeah, we'll see where this goes.
This topic has a lot of nuance, and it's really easy to post hyperbolic kinds of claims that sound correct that aren't really truly correct. And to speak a little bit, so for those of you that might not know, for maybe some of the new listeners as of the past couple years, Doug was referencing earlier. We were referencing Howard Chu, and asking about, well, could they find a signature on the network about how long Bitmain might have been already using these miners? Because what happened when RandomX came out, it was within, I want to say it was like just 1 or 2 years later that Bitmain developed, again, not an ASIC, but stacking RISC-V CPUs basically. And they had created this Monero miner, kind of like they have this one here. It was wildly inefficient. Their cost for what they were selling, because later they tried to sell these, and this is what Bitmain does. They make an ASIC, they make a miner, they mine with it. Maybe they have some partners, whatever, that mine on these things. And then after they're done and they have a new version, they sell it on the open market. And that was actually, we strongly suspect that's how they covered their shortfall when they started shutting down withdrawals. So Binance and Qcoin and Bitfinex and all these exchanges that shut down withdrawals for Monero off and on over the course of about 2 or 3 years. We said, well, and then they delisted it. So we're like, well, where did they get the Monero from? Well, they got it probably from some kind of hidden partnership with Bitmain, because we discovered after the fact that Bitmain had been mining. We were able to detect the signature of their miner. I say Howard Chu is able to do it, to detect the signature of that miner on the network, running for, I want to say it was like 18 months or something like that. So that's how they covered their shortfall. One of the ways they did that. Now, in terms of their new miner, it does sound like that they do have efficiency, some level of efficiency. But, again, there's a huge difference between how ASICs unfolded on Bitcoin, where they went from CPU mining and then they were like, oh, wait, GPU is way faster. And then GPUs took over the network. And then in 2013, ASICs took over the network. And these gains, we're talking 1 million times faster. The ASICs are like 1 million times, many millions of times faster than you could mine on a CPU. So these were the kind of gains that allowed Bitmain to basically take over the ASIC. Like when people talk about pools and all, it's decentralized. It's not. It's 80% Bitmain. All the block templates, they're all Bitmain. So anyways, the kinds of efficiency that they have here is like maybe 30% on their electricity efficiency. At least, in terms of what they're selling this miner at a certain cost, but we don't actually know what it costs them to develop it, right? Because there's a big development cost, and they also have to figure out how to stack the RISC-V CPUs and do all this stuff. So there's all these costs that we're seeing. They might actually be selling these at a loss for all we know to try and make it look like they have, a super efficient miner. And okay, it is more efficient in terms of electricity, but was it more efficient in terms for their production costs? We don't know. They'll never share that data with us. So I know that's a little bit of a long way of putting it, but there are a lot of questions here, and we don't really, it would be easy to say, oh, look, they built a Monero miner, it's over. No, they've probably spent a lot of R&D costs to get, some minor efficiencies, which are going to be going away soon. So.
Right. And like I said, we would already see some kind of big uptick in hash rate, right? You would see a noticeable.
Well, we've had growing hash rate, but what we haven't seen is a 5x, a 10x overnight spike.
Yeah.
Because they've made a more efficient miner, but it's and here's the other thing too, in terms of the silicon space, if we're going to talk about the number of transistors that it takes you to mine a hash, when it comes to ASICs, it doesn't take you hardly any silicon real estate to mine a SHA-256 hash for Bitcoin. When it comes to RandomX, it takes a shit ton, many orders of magnitude more silicon real estate to mine a single Monero hash. And so, again, it's that these efficiency equations, they work out in their favor in the sense that they can acquire some Monero with it. Certainly, they're a factor in the increasing hash rate of Monero. But again, they don't have 10, 100,000, million X improvement, and they're never gonna, because the real estate, the silicon real estate numbers don't work out for them economically.
Exactly. Like we're saying, would love to get Howard on, or Tevador or something, to hear their take on all this. But
by the way, I'm not sure if Howard's on Nostr. He might be on Mastodon, because I tried to look him up, and it might be Mastodon instead of Nostr. Okay,
yeah, I see somebody saying that in the chat as well. HYC is on Mastodon for sure. Anybody that wants to anybody that wants to reach out to him, let him know, please. We'd love to have him on. And last story, which we already mentioned a little bit earlier, but it was breaking news. We'll quickly play this from Trump.
We don't hear anything if there's any audio.
You don't hear anything?
Nope.
You didn't hear anything? Really?
Yeah, no audio. If there was audio, then we didn't hear it.
That's weird. I hear it. No?
I do not hear it either.
You guys heard the other videos I played, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why it's not playing.
Well, at least there's words.
Yeah.
We're there now, but we're going to stay until such a time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until we're going to run it essentially until such a time as the proper transition can take place.
Yeah, so all right, now
we're going to have our very large United States oil companies manage the oil resources in Venezuela. It's going to be fantastic. Everybody hates Maduro. Nobody likes him.
Let me. It looks like I screwed up the sharing. That's why. Wait, hold on again. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Whatever. You guys know that. You guys know the deal. Basically, Trump is saying that they are going to run Venezuela from here on out until they can move it on to whoever they want to pass it on to. So yeah.
There's one thing I need to correct. I'm sorry to interrupt. One thing I need to correct on the price report. Oil is going to go up. This invasion is obviously going to go. I had kind of like misspoken about like the lower levels, and in my mind I was saying these are the levels we would hit if they didn't do something. But this invasion of Venezuela is going to save the U.S. oil chart for some period of time at least. So I might even
oil will go up. Why will oil go up if we have access to more oil?
It's because they're limiting the entire oil resource wars of the past 5 decades have been about limiting and managing global access to easy energy, to easy oil. And right now, they're trying to limit access to China and Russia. And effectively, they're going to use this as their opportunity to pump the oil price up. The U.S. has more than enough energy resources. We have more than enough oil and Canadian shale and natural gas, coal, etc. We don't need the oil. We've had plenty since forever. They're trying to prevent the rest of the world from getting easy, cheap access to oil. So part of what's happening is they're trying to save the petrodollar, which is that U.S. oil chart, which has been down. And I've been like really concerned about, not really concerned, but, you know, like, why is this fucking chart going down? You know, it looks like it's weird. This is going to save that chart effectively. We're going to see oil pump next week. Like it's count on it. It's going to start pumping. So I will maybe even ask Renan to insert this into the clip there, if that's okay.
Interesting. Wouldn't it domestically, like, prices go down if we're controlling more oil?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't count on it.
Okay.
Because again, we control enough oil. Like there's already more than enough oil resources. We have lots of it. We've got all the refineries. And okay, so we've secured more oil, right? But that oil that they secured wasn't going to the United States. They're probably just going to use it for the strategic oil reserve.
All right. We shall see. We shall see. Quadrio Chalata tipped 0.0001 XMR. X9 has 400 hashes per joule efficiency. Best 7,945 HX have 225 hashes per joule efficiency. Was in the Reddit thread comment from Sec1.
Okay, so that's less than a double.
Yeah. So
that's
not
what,
a major
like
difference.
30,
it's not.
that's
It's
what, 30 or 40%.
Right, like Bawdy's saying, it's not 1,000x, 10,000x, million times.
Well, their X9 was pretty inefficient, anyways, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it was just what they were charging was unrealistic.
All right. Yep. That's all the news I have. Let me go ahead and
that's 44% more efficient.
I will go ahead and run viewers on stage and see who wants to jump up. Here we go. Here we go.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to XMR.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Play the game responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right, sharing the link for those that want to join. Consider jumping up. Don't hesitate, just do it. You don't have to turn your video camera on.
Ask Nihilist.
Come on up. I see we have Ulysses. Neil's still hanging out. Yeah, come on, guys. We have 300 live viewers. Like and share. I'm sure there's got to be somebody out there that wants somebody new that wants to jump up. Don't be shy. Come on up. What's going on, guys? Ulysses, what's up, man? Ulysses might just be listening in and not actually looking to participate right now, which is fine.
You listening?
Well, if nobody shows up, we can always end the show early and go.
Not the worst thing.
I got stuff to do. Obviously, I have tax revolts to lead and taxes to evade.
Bawdy's leading a tax revolution right now.
Oh, by the way, Nihilist, if you have to accept me into your group, please do, because I've clicked the link or whatever, but it says it's connecting and it says I can't send messages yet. So if you need to do something, please do.
Okay, I don't see you connected just yet. Actually, let me send you my private simplex link. That way we can talk directly. To be easier.
Okay.
Bawdy, anything else we could say about this inklings of a revolution we're seeing here? I mean, what can be done? What can be done to propel this further?
I've been trying to respond to things that I feel like are distractions, whether accidental or purposeful. I really believe that there are a lot of Fed boy agents masquerading out there as libertarians. Like one thing I saw was this Libertarian Party kind of affiliate person group account, Twitter account, be like, what kind of practical actions do we need to take so that we can organize this movement and make sure that we can all tax strike? And I was like, nothing. We don't need you to do shit. Please stop. Don't do it. The only thing we actually need you to do is just be a conduit of information about the state of the IRS and what their current state is and what the risks that people might be encountering, a realistic, practical look at that, and then let people make their own decision. We don't need a political action committee to devise the 9-point plan about how we're all going to organize at the Free Liberty, the Free State Project, and all sign up and wait for the moment that we have enough people so we can do it to get no, all of that is an intention. In my mind, it looks like an intention to delay what's already happening. The movement's already here. We don't need a leader. We don't need to organize. We don't need to get into the streets together. We don't need to form an army, or, I mean, if you want to form a little militia with the people you know in your own city, sure, why not? Defense pact, right? Neighborhood watch. But so if you see people being like, how do we organize? What are the actionable, practical things we need to do? No. Just be a conduit of information and let people make their own decisions and encourage disobedience. That's all we need to do.
We need to make funny stickers and put them up everywhere.
That helps.
That's always my solution, though. But I like stickers.
Well, I think that's great. If tax revolt stickers started appearing across America, they can't remove them fast enough.
We need a hybrid tax revolt / Monero sticker.
There's a capitalist opportunity, cool. Guys, right here.
Yeah,
tax revolt merch.
Maybe we could get that going for Monerotopia. Maybe get that going. We got another.
We could do it like the White Rose guys did it, right? Because they suggested getting that one small label printer from Brothers. There's a Brothers thermal label printer, and you can buy massive rolls of thermal stickers. They're not, they don't last long, but it's. You print out, loads and loads of these stickers, and they made loads of designs for the whole COVID season.
Put a Monero logo and be like, don't pay taxes, buy Monero.
Yeah.
We can make a contest on the forum for sticker designs. People just start throwing up black and white sticker designs that fit the label printer, the thermal label printer. Be like, this is the dimensions you need to make a design. If you want to say something funny about not paying taxes or tax revolt, please, send your design here on the forum.
Yeah, somebody's selling those on XMR Bazaar too. People can just buy them in bulk. We got another tip here. By the way, unaffiliated with me, there is a giveaway, first block bonus on this new mining pool. That's cool. PrivacyGateway.io mining pool. Don't know anything about it. I see we got Alaskan on, so it looks like viewers on stage will be going on for a few more hours.
Here we go.
We have Bawdyanarchist. I think this might be a first.
I think that's a take on Maduro, but
Nero
at the end of it.
Bawdyanarchist.
Bawdyanarchist.
What's going on, man? Hey, what's
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Familiar sounding voice. Alaska, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
What's up, brother? Oh, you hunkered down for Alaska winter? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, it's been -50 for the last 2 weeks.
I can only imagine.
Yeah,
it's cold as hell over here in New York.
Everybody hunkers during this time of year. Hunkering is mandatory.
Survival mode.
70 degrees right now in my city.
That's
not to brag or anything, but I'm just saying.
I think that's about what it is here, actually. 64, 65, something like that.
Oh, nice. Well, Mexico City should be nice in a month or so in February.
If it gets any colder, I might have to put clothes on when I go outside to smoke a cigar or something. I mean,
that's pretty cold if Alaskans are starting to do that.
Alaska's balls are finally shrinking to a normal man's size in the cold weather.
Firming up.
But it just makes them hard as steel, obviously.
I'm a big cigar smoker, and it's gotten cold when you exhale your cigar smoke and it just drops straight to the ground. Like it doesn't like go off into the air. It just flows like a river. It's awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, guys, converse among yourselves.
So as far as like the tax revolt thing, I've found people who are scared to pay, scared to do the right thing and not pay taxes, I should say. A lot of them find solace and comfort when you explain to them just how many people don't pay taxes and just how unenforceable a lot of it actually is.
Yeah, that's what Bawdy was opening up with.
And if it might be wise to, instead of making stickers and such that tell you, tax revolt, it might be wiser to keep them neutral and just say, like, according to recent estimates, such and such percentage of Americans are not paying taxes.
Do you have those numbers somewhere?
The thing is, I look at them periodically, but the information is pretty spread out based on who's collecting the data and who's telling.
No, I have the direct IRS numbers that they posted on this, and those numbers are low. Like, they're actually incentivized to underreport that. Let me send you the link. I will.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going to go with it. Is I have a sneaking suspicion the IRS is probably pretty accurate as far as their numbers go, relative to, because you could get it from one group of people and it can be a 10% deviation from another group of people, and there's something to be said about, like, it just feels a little weird to take that data from the IRS and assume it to be true. But I can't really find anything better to run with, if that makes sense.
So I posted this on the YouTube comments just now, but it's too big for a single comment. So you'll have to copy and paste the one to the other. But hell, I don't know if maybe I'll share my screen. I'll just pull it up here. Let me share my screen.
Just a random idea. Like, what if people pooled funds, right? So they're not paying taxes, but they put money into a fund as kind of a insurance for legal representation if they are the ones that are pinpointed and gone after as those that don't pay taxes. So kind of getting people to unionize into a group of people that don't want to pay taxes.
That would be interesting.
And then like a PMA or something for people, where it's just like, hey, here's this
millions
fund
of dollars, right? Like, pay the what you were going to pay into taxes, just put 10% of that into this fund.
Just call it tax insurance.
Yeah. And,
oh my God, bro, that actually could be pretty fucking. That could be. You're definitely gonna be target number one if you're the guy to make that thing, but
I ain't making it. I'm just an idea man. You guys, I'm just an idea guy.
I don't think that you're legally allowed to sell crime insurance, but I think the name of the game is disobedience right now. So,
well, you gotta phrase things correctly, right?
I'm just thinking how. Obviously, you wouldn't frame it as crime insurance, but that's how the government would phrase it when they try and take you to court.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know if you want to pull my screen up. I'm sharing my screen. I can show you guys the article itself. So this is right off the IRS government website, right? And this is from February 29th, 2024. And they said there's 125,000 instances of failure to file. And 25,000 of those are people who made over $1 million in income, or at least allegedly made over $1 million. And the other 100,000 are between $400,000 and $1 million. So that's just the high earners. That doesn't even include the people making 100 grand a year or 80 grand a year. So the numbers are actually much higher than 125,000 in terms of the non-filers. And
I mean, there's got to be millions of people that it takes some bit of competence just to file. So there's people that could barely put their pants on in the morning, or like you're telling me they're filing their taxes. I just don't think they are.
Definitely not the Somalis.
There you go.
But yeah, so I shared that link on YouTube. So I mean, it's refreshing to see those numbers because it really puts into perspective. That was that article that they released was in 2024, and that was kind of like the whole Biden. They tried to pass the 80,000 new employees and to pump those numbers up, right, to give the IRS more resources. And ever since then, they've been gutted. All of that was reversed, and they fired 25% of the IRS staff this year. So if they already couldn't get to that many people in 2024, then it's only gotten worse since then. I mean, and it's only going to get worse from here. Like it's extremely clear. If you're on Twitter and you're watching this go down, like countless tens of thousands, you have a representative, right? A congresswoman saying, "Hey, I support the tax revolt." Like this is mainstream.
Yeah. But Bawdy, to push back, and I was kind of pushing back on this before. I mean, like, yeah, sure, they've fired a lot of people, but we have AI, we have Palantir. I mean, there's great efficiencies that come with this tech that we have to kind of monitor everybody, pick and choose who should get sent a letter. A lot of automation that can now take place. I mean, I don't know.
They can't automate the legal process with AI.
Yeah,
the moment they start to do that, they open up Pandora's box. And the one thing that the priest class, the Pharisee class, does not want is for regular, ordinary people to use LLMs as massive leverage in decoding their secret incantations.
That's an interesting point.
And you have to remember, like, not only is there the legal element of the unenforceability, but then there's like how to remedy if there's false positives becomes a huge issue. But most importantly of all, a lot of the people responsible for keeping this going at a high level, they're also trying to protect themselves from having these same liabilities. They're also trying to protect themselves from having some all-inclusive models snooping through all their financial history and so on. That there are incentives for them to try to keep things as it is because it's worse in every direction.
The other thing too is if you look at like who is the IRS composed of? I want to say like a third of their staff is just support, like phone calls, and anyone that's had to go through this process. They'll be like, yeah, you're going to sit on hold waiting for an agent for like 2 hours. And then they're going to disconnect the call and you're going to wait for another 2 hours. So a lot of it is just support staff. As far as it goes, like with investigators and actually modernizing the entire department, transferring everything to automated systems, they don't have the expertise. And also like people that go work for these government institutions are fucking retards. Like, I had the pleasure to work with some pretty top level dudes in the military, and I had a lucky experience in that regard. Because the pilots I was working with, they were all top level. But for the most part, when you've worked inside the government and you see what most of the government is composed of, it is extremely unimpressive. You're just like, these people, they're fucking lazy. They come in late, they go home early, they work their job slowly, they spend a lot of time just jabber jawing at the fucking water cooler. They're unremarkable people. So to think that these guys are going to somehow get it together is a bit of a stretch.
It's a scam calling center, basically.
I wonder how much
scam payback.
I wonder how much it would cost to like hire a call center so they could just clog up the IRS support line so that it just becomes unusable for everybody else, and like just clog up like a.
I had that idea about like robocalling with AI.
Yeah, malicious compliance. And we're going to see these are all excellent strategies, and we're going to see an explosion of this stuff For every like new person they try and come after, especially if they come after any like popular people, like any of these like podcaster big names, there's going to be big rallies against like, okay, well, how can we creatively send, you know what, let's all get together and pay this guy's tax bill for him, and we'll just send the IRS pennies, right? We'll just send it to them in pennies. You know, we'll bury them in paperwork. Like there's even this one guy that he sends an entire like a pallet of paper where everything is printed in screwed up font. The pages are all out of order. They're still numbered because I think they have to be, but the pages are out of order. Nothing is clear. Sometimes it's tiny font. And so he sends it all to them, and that's his entire return, so that if they ever really wanted to like go through it all, it would just be ridiculous resources. And it's compliant, but it's maliciously compliant. We'll see an explosion of that kind of behavior.
I like
Well,
that. Malicious compliance a fun thing to do.
You could have like 1 million people all pay with like a 50-cent check from all different banks all over the place. Like that. But could you imagine how amazing that would be, you know?
Oh, that would be fun.
I remember there was one guy in France, I think, that had a fine for speeding ticket, and he had to pay like, I don't know, 100 euros or something, and he paid in fucking 1 cent. Like he went and had fucking buckets full of cents, like copper coins that no one wants, and just paid like that.
Well, there's a whole nother layer to this that especially this crowd probably has no idea, but I don't know if you've seen elderly people who have been victim of some kind of identity fraud and who are people of means and they're trying to pay their taxes. So the last time I tried to help somebody with this, I think it took us about 1.5 months to finally get permission to get a piece of paper sent with a code that had like a time delay on it. And then you have to call in with the code, and then they have to reactivate something. And then you have to get on a website, and then you have to confirm through that website a text message with the new phone number that you gave them. And then once they get that, then the individual themselves has to update their residency. And then they send a letter that you have to fax in with the, this is all to supposedly confirm your identity or whatever. But the thing is most people do not have the cognitive capacity to go through all of this and also make all of the times and so on. And the big one for me, the guy I was helping, so he also lives in Alaska. Well, there's a time lock on a bunch of these things that are sent through mail. By the time I would get it, and I couldn't have it sent through a holiday because it would make it too late. So we had to resend it again when there wasn't a federal holiday. And then we had like 36 hours to finish the process from when the letter got to him to when it got to me. The point is that in the process of trying to increase compliance and accountability, they're actually making it even more inefficient and impossible for a lot of people. And most of those people are boomers, the people that they need the taxes from the most, at least in theory. They don't actually need them, but that's the claim, right? These boomers are sitting on all of this money and we need to get them to pay their taxes. But the reality is they make compliance nearly impossible for those people anyway. And so they're going to end up with people who are probably kicking down death's door with nothing to lose, who are just going to be like, dude, fuck paying this at all. I don't even care anymore.
I'm like one of those people, man. If you tell me to go do some government thing and it's too complex, I just throw up my hands and say, fuck it, I'm not doing it. Like, and that was years ago too. I would always just be like, what's the worst that could happen?
You guys have probably heard the old saying, like, if somebody has nothing left to lose, they lose it. I would imagine at least 90% of Gen Z, who, I mean, like, compared to their parents and grandparents, are just like starving, you know. There is absolutely no way that I can imagine they won't be all in on this revolt, because they're already getting absolutely clobbered in every direction.
As they say, revolutions are won by the young. Like, I don't know, say 18 to 30. Most of the U.S. Colonial revolutionists were young guys. They were all under 40, or most of them under 40.
The best way to do this would be like trying to get prison guards to let tax protesters just walk out the door. If you did that, that would be the most amazing visual ever. Like you get it on camera and you spread it far, even if it's just some AI slop and it's not even real. Just like, you know what I mean? Like just muddy the waters as hard as you possibly can. Like video of prison guards allowing tax protesters to go free and just like throw it all over social media and stuff. No, like the people that you're targeting don't even read those little, like, this is AI on the bottom anyway. So like just make a crap load of those.
And you wouldn't even have to have videos with or pictures with those digital marks. You could just make them without those digital marks, and then they wouldn't know it was made by AI at all.
And it would be harder to prove that it was AI if you cut in like real footage. You know what I'm saying?
You got to take a perp walk in reverse.
Yeah, the only thing, like, I'll just spend a couple nights in jail, and when somebody comes to pick me up, just be like, freedom, and then we'll put subtitles. This man was freed from prison for not paying his taxes or whatever. I will totally go to jail for this if somebody wants to do the video.
Oh my God, bro, you're always too willing to go to jail. you have ideations of
I could use a little break. Okay, it's like vacation to me. If you knew what my work life is like, a couple days off in a jail is not so bad.
Do yourself a favor and at least, you know, commit your crime in a southern state where the jail should be warmer.
I like the cold.
I don't even think you have to go to jail. You just make it look like you're in jail. Put up some bars.
That's
or whatever.
The other thing too. You can save quite a bit on your heat bill up here by just going to jail for a little while.
Maybe we could just market it as evasion insurance. It's like, I don't know. It would have to be run by anons. I don't know how that would work. I love this idea that Doug had about.
I like the idea. I'm wondering how it would be executed because I like.
I don't want to be the one, to lead that shit.
I think if you put it out there as like it's just an art piece, right? It's nothing serious. Wink, wink. You know, maybe it could get some traction in like mainstream media or something. Like, oh, look at this. There's this crazy art project over here. It's a bit subversive.
What could work is to kind of use these silly monikers like quote unquote evasion insurance and sort of like not set up a corporation because that's kind of like totally contrary, but like set up an organization where like no one is really like, you're not really selling it to the public, but it's enough to look like you're kind of like doing an operation thing. But just to put the idea in people's minds, like, wait, because someone's going to get attacked. Like the government is going to try and make a Wesley Snipes example. You know, they're going to try and like find some people to hit, and we can put into the consciousness, hey, if one of our people doing this does get hit, then let's all agree that we're going to pay their fucking tax bill for them, and then, you know, help kind of like we did with Ross. Like when he got out, everyone just donated him a shitload of money.
CCS, but for I like it. I like this a lot.
We should probably.
I think it'd be easy to make something that almost looks like it would fit in like the Amazon ads, like when you're streaming something on Prime and like there's that 10-second commercial about like whatever shit pharmaceutical or something. But if you made a spoof of that where it's just like, make it almost look like one of those like tax services, but it's just like. Are you morally opposed to paying taxes to criminals? Do you want insurance in case they decide to come after you for not paying your extortion money that you need? Blah, blah, blah.
It could work.
That'd be awesome. Oh my God.
I would love to see that. If somebody does this, I would love to see it.
Well, all right, we got to make that happen.
I guess we should put it on, we should do like an on-chain contract. Like you should definitely make it some kind of smart contract so that it directs people to crypto.
You are contractually bound to not to not pay your taxes. And if you fail to do so, then what? You go to jail for not paying your taxes.
Maybe
for not paying your taxes.
Maybe we could like try to integrate some kind of like zero knowledge. So like just brainstorming here, we could integrate some kind of zero knowledge into the contract in a way that you can later prove your identity, and you can say, hey, I actually did pay into this on-chain insurance fund. And I have the public key for that. And so it's basically the holding of the public key is the proof that you paid. And then if you get attacked, you sign a message saying, hey, and you sign your identity details. Here's my, because I think it all ends up public anyways, like in terms of in the government databases, it's like, okay, these are the people being charged, being, complaints against them. So you could basically just like link the complaint or link like the government case against you in a message that you sign with your key. And then insurance could end up getting paid out like that. Holy fuck, that might work.
Make this an ETH smart contract or something.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about things like DarkFi is I could see people being a lot more comfortable to do stuff like this.
Let's see. There's still going to be the problem of anyone could just say that was their identity. That's the problem with online is it's like always, it's notoriously difficult to connect anything from an external information source to make it on chain.
I think the risk of that is a lot lower though, because think about it. Like you would have a time-stamped transaction of real money changing hands, and then somebody who actually has some kind of key, and then that person is also going through tax problems. Like, who exactly would be the fakers here? And even so, let's say somebody didn't pay and then they had a tax case against them and they offered sufficient evidence to convince everybody that they were one of the people who paid in. Do we even care? You see what I mean? Like it's still a place that you can put those funds to fight taxes.
I see.
So I don't know that the risk of like fraudulently claiming you paid in is even really that big of a deal to begin with, because it's still a good place to have the fight. And it's still a good place where like if the government was just unaware, wait, there are people who will like litigate this into the dirt just randomly every time. So going after anybody is already kind of freaky.
Now that I think about it, when you sign up for your on-chain policy, all you would need to do is put your social security number in there, but again, an encrypted version of it, right? So you're going to pay into the contract, and then there will be an encrypted message that appears on chain that contains your social security number, and if at a future date you reveal that information. You decrypt that encrypted message to reveal the social security number. Then whoever is whatever multi-signature management of this contract is being done would then look up on the IRS database if this person was in fact attacked.
You could MD5 hash your SSN or something like an MD5 hash or SHA-256. And then if the tax website had a record for you, you could say, here's my record. It has your social security number on it or whatever. And you could say that you could show the MD5 hash is.
Yeah. My biggest concern is if you're trusting a government database to have that information, well, what if the government quits sharing that information? Then you're kind of back to the original situation.
I guess that is a risk. That would be a risk. That would also be a sign that you're winning. If the government had and I'm not even sure that's legal. I think they have, like per law, they have to publicly publish every complaint, every indictment. I mean, sometimes they have sealed indictments, but ultimately, if there's a judgment against someone, that has to be published.
Yeah, but the thing is they're already desperate enough where they have been hiding people that are currently in the gulag.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah,
but again, like they have to publish your name. The judgment has to be published.
Yeah, but keep in mind, like A good example would be like James Trafficant, or I forgot the other guy, but his first name was David. Both of those people were prominent public figures, got carted off to solitary for both of them in excess of 2 years before anybody even knew where they were. James Trafficant was a congressman, and they still disappeared him for like 2 years over taxes.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like they're already pretty used to hiding that kind of stuff. I mean, I over some dumb shit, man. Like, I mean, like really not even close to anything as big as that. I got disappeared from my ex-wife for like 6 days. Just over like a deregistration thing. I mean, it was nothing, but it bothered them enough to like disappear me for 6 days, and I'm fucking nobody, man. Like if you're like a major player in a tax revolt, we have to assume that there has to be like a either on chain or outside of government custody way to begin the process faster. But that said, it you know, you could still use it while it exists, but we just have to assume that they're already willing to not publish data.
Well, I mean, yes, what you're saying there, like, are isolated cases. Are they going to move to not publishing any data about anyone? They might, but that's like, okay, if that's the case, if that's, well, hang on. If that's the case, if that's what happens, then a decision could be made by the fund to return the policy, right? To return the funds to the people that paid into it. Because again, that's ETH public address on chain. It's easy to return those funds. So you could do that. You could even list it as a contingency if the government stops publishing judgments against people, against individuals. Then we'll just return all the policies to everybody.
See, what I like what you're saying though is if you just think of it as a numbers game, though, I mean, it's hard to imagine a situation where they're going to go that far outside of the norm for a significant sliver of the population.
It's horrible PR.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're still covering like 96% of the tax protesters, even if there's 4% that get gulagged, that still puts your group in a far superior situation than they would be otherwise. So even if 4% are getting gulagged, whatever, I mean, you got 96% coverage. It's better than an actual insurance policy, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, and eventually it's going to be the case that almost all of those gulagged people get out, and there's going to be some kind of publication about it. Like maybe it'll take longer for it to happen, but in that case, they can still activate their policy by. It could be a couple years after the fact, but they can come back and say, "Hey, here's my key. You know, here's my social. You know, unlock that message."
I was gulagged, and yeah, you're right about 96% is better than what health insurance offers after that assassination of the CEO or whatever. Weren't they doing like 73% of claims that they would accept or something like that? It was something stupidly low.
Wow. Now that I think about it, on-chain insurance might actually be. Maybe that could actually be a reasonable business model that might actually fit pretty naturally, because insurance is effectively a trust game. It's a trust game where you pay some organization and they promise to pay you if you show X, Y, or Z. So hypothetically, I mean, why couldn't you make all of that work out with on-chain payments just the same?
Yeah, I've been thinking that for years. Like I set up my company to do health shares instead of health insurance a while back. With amazing results, by the way. It was just infinitely superior. We ended up switching back over because of the 50 employee rule and all of that, but which was horrible. We were paying like 1/3 the price for significantly better coverage by using health share instead of. And the day I did it, I was like, all of this belongs on the blockchain. Like this would be way more efficient. It would be way better to just put everything on the blockchain. And I even brought it up to a person who is involved in this, and they're like, honestly, it's the user base. Like they had brought it up to their superiors, and the superiors had pointed out that the user base, the vast majority of them weren't, you know, interested in becoming tech savvy to do health coverage. But the thing is like that it's inevitable. It's got to be, it's like faster, better, cheaper in every conceivable way. Like international borders mean nothing. All of these ridiculous, burdensome regulations can just be thrown in the trash. On-chain insurance is a no-brainer.
Well, for something like that, you could have Uncle Bob, or you could have your own Uncle Bob or whatever to help with that kind of thing. If you're not technical enough to do it, you could have your Uncle Bob or whatever help you.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of risk in doing something like that. Especially like trying to do just standard, home insurance, car insurance, health insurance. Those are obviously massively regulated industries and massively cartelized industries. So, actually breaking into that, you can effectively, in the current state of the situation of governments, you can assume that they are going to come after you. They are 100% going to sue you and try and put you in jail if you start in any way looking like you're going to threaten the cartel of the insurance industry. That's actually like one of the major inflation points is insurance. That has been one of the primary components of inflation for the past 5 years.
Personally, I think that if the price of Monero were to go up sufficiently, that would be one of the most important things to happen to on-chain insurance. And my reasoning behind it is, for one, you'd have a body of people that have become independently wealthy who already reject the idea of participating in these systems. The next thing is you would have a pool of liquidity that could be directed towards these purposes, where people could skirt around these regulations and even provide the immediate relief. But the other thing is you have people that would already be willing to adopt smart contracts and would be willing to take the risk on moving into those areas. I mean, I know if somebody came to me and was like, hey, put this much Monero in every month with this much of an initial deposit, once your account accumulates X amount of money relative to the assessed value of your home, oh, dude, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Like I would never even look back.
Hell yeah. I'm already going to switch. I'm already going to switch phone carriers in March to cloaked wireless so that I can pay my phone bill in Monero. So heck yeah.
And then over time, you would see people, because their bills are lower, you'd see people getting into Monero and smart contracts just to be able to switch away from insurance.
Because yeah, your life gets easier when you price your life in Monero. That's for sure. I've seen that myself.
I wonder what the game theory looks like on an insurance fund, an on-chain insurance fund that isn't managed by any central party, but that requires some threshold of reviewers, and all the reviewers are the same people that bought into the insurance policies. If you purchase the insurance policy, then it's maybe you would have to put some kind of requirements. As an insurance holder, you're not just a purchaser of the service, you're actually a reviewer of the service itself. So that way, maybe you can avoid having a central mark, right? A central person that's running this thing. And so maybe every year you have a requirement to review at least 3 cases, right? And then you require X of N signatures into the contract from reviewers to determine what should get paid out. And I mean, algorithmically, you can start getting pretty complex, but you see the general outline of the idea there. So maybe, go ahead, Shortwave.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because then you can't pin it on anyone in particular, and it's kind of like a cooperative, right? You wouldn't exactly be a corporate cooperative, but it would be like a co-op organization. And then if you don't participate, in other words, if you don't end up scoring and helping to adjudicate some set of other cases as they come up, then perhaps you get slashed, right? You'll eventually, if you fail to continue, you'll get slashed. Your policy will end up getting slashed entirely.
Yeah, so you'd point out that, hey, this requires you to review 3 cases per year, and if you do not, then your policy will get revoked because you're not helping the system.
things that make me want to learn how to program smart contracts. I have too many projects, guys. Too many ideas. There's no way I can do them all.
My throat is killing me, so I'm gonna just switch to listening, guys. But I'll still be listening. God bless.
Well, we're getting pretty close to the end of the time slot here.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and kill it, Doug? Or does anybody else have anything first?
Sounds
I
like you
just
listened
want
to
to say
something.
Happy New Year all to everybody.
Happy New Year, Yuli.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah, we'll be hanging out in Mexico City soon, so that'll be fucking awesome as shit.
Feliz Año, Snovem Godem.
All right, Doug.
Buddy.
Where are you, Doug? Can't end it without you.
All right. Well, I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys randomly, just to fill the airspace till Doug gets back. I'm learning CAD right now, so computer aided design. My thinking is that at some point I want to get into like 3D printing. In some future version of myself, I'd like to think that I could do vertical gardening and automate most of it with robotics. It would be cool to do like just like we have with the ghost guns, we could have like ghost gardens, and effectively it's just you're sharing online. Here's all the printouts. Here's the specs that you need. Buy yourself an Ender 500, whatever. And you can print out your own robotics. Here's the open source code, and you can manage your own little vertical garden at your own house. So I think that would be pretty cool. Currently, I'm so to learn CAD. I've had this idea for a diffuser augmented wind turbine for a very long time. So effectively, the idea is that you can get more power by sucking air across the rotor than by trying to force air across the rotor. You can't get more power, but you can at least scale down the apparatus to have a size that you could put on a rooftop instead of one of those big fucking windmill things, because there's a lot of problems with putting a big windmill on your rooftop. Anyway, so what I came up with was a symmetric vertical airfoil that creates a low pressure zone on either side of the foil. And that creates a suction component that basically sucks the air through a smaller inlet. And then obviously you've got, kind of a big mouth that opens up to the oncoming wind. So I'm trying, I've never done CAD before. Not really a mechanical engineer. So anyways, I'm working on that at the moment. I tend to sort of hop from one project to the next. Nihilist has his hands full, bro. That is holy shit. That is a full design, man. That's truly an epic spec on an anonymity network.
I'm looking forward to it. It sounds really cool.
Well, I guess
I am back.
Oh, there he is.
All right, guys. We'll end it here.
All right.
All right.
Happy
See
New
you guys
Year's.
next week.
Happy tax revolt.
Adios.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.